This is the part in the story that I did not believe. I didn't want to believe it, but she said, girl, I can't make this shit up. It happened. What's up, idols? What is that? What's up, idols? It's Cece Lesson 3. Welcome back to my channel. So audio for this story time is not gonna be so great because I don't have my mic with me. But I wanted to give you guys a story time. It's another submission type of video. You know, based on the comments from the last videos I've done, you guys are really supportive and encouraging to these girls, but they still want to be anonymous, and I gotta respect that. I want to thank her as well for trusting me with telling her this story to you guys because,
Why do people do what they do?
Now this one's a bit of a throwback, and she said it stuck with her because she's still in the relationship now. It still, you know, has some elements of difficulty that they're trying to work through together right now, still in 2023. They've been together since 2018, and here's how they met. I'm gonna set the scene. She's American, and she was excited to go to Korea. I'm not gonna use her real name, so we'll call her Jasmine. I can show you the world. Shining, shimmering, splendid. She said ever since she used to watch those Eat Your Kimchi videos on YouTube, she knew she wanted to like move to Korea permanently. I don't know if you guys remember Simon and Martina from back in the day. Yo, they taught me so much about Korea. They got me so interested in Korea. She said that was how she found me and how she got into my videos. So like, I'm honored to be among Simon and Martina. I'm way below them, like they had millions of subscribers. But anyway, that's how she found me, and she said, oh, you should tell this story on your channel. Okay. When you're new to a country and you're excited to meet the locals, you hit up Tinder. Yo, it's actually not what you think. Like, yeah, she had to go through the hookup, ONS, foreigner, weguk, oh, one night. She had to go through all of that and sift through, but she actually found her person through Tinder. I know 2 foreigners right now who are married to Koreans, and they met on Tinder. 3. Sorry, I know 3. So she said this was about spring, like late March, early April, spring of 2018. And I'm sad because I was there too, and I'm like, girl, we could have met. But I hadn't even started my YouTube channel yet back then. So it's pretty typical. Your first date will probably be in like a cafe, especially when the weather's nice like it was, and the cherry blossoms and stuff. So yeah, they went to a nice cafe for their first date. The vibe was still there, so they're like, you know what, let's continue this. They went to Han River, and one thing that you can do along Han River that's nice is you can rent. They have like these little stations where you can rent a place to like set up a picnic. I do remember those at Han River. It's nice. So she said after this first date, one thing she really liked about him, she could tell he was really curious and understanding and open-minded. And one of the quotes that I wrote down, because she said he said it and she loved it about him. He said, change doesn't happen when everyone wants to be the same.
Facts. Facts. That's facts. That's facts.
Because he always went on about how he loves studying abroad so much. It doesn't like how Koreans tend to be so like-minded and cookie cutter, and they want to look the same. They kind of have the similar interests, things like that. He was saying where he studied, he appreciated how there were so many different minds and different ideas, different points of views, different backgrounds, different interest stories. Yeah, she really loved that about him. So she said for their second date, they went to 월미도.
3명 있고 여기도 3명 있고 아, 나 얘 뭐야? 야! 이것들이 이게 뭐야 얘?
It's like a mini theme park or a mini amusement park. They have a lot of Viking rides. I actually went through 2 back in early 2018, sorry. I made a video about that guy who, that dude was such a clown. He was like a prince until he became a frog. And what's funny is in 2021, when I was back in Korea, you know how if you pay, you can see who likes you first. He liked me again on Tinder, but he didn't even remember who I was.
They ask you how you are, and you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
Anyway, this ain't about me. So it was their second date at 월미도 when they got on some rides together, won each other surprises, and that's when they finally decided to have their first kiss. Their first date and their second date was only like 2 weeks apart, and they were going steady. Like they were hanging out really often and really consistently. And then Jasmine's like, I feel kind of guilty because so many of my friends struggle trying to go on dates and meet guys. And for her, it happened kind of quickly, and like they're still together. So she said her friends were like, oh, men suck, and girl, you better look out for this. And she was like, I can't relate. Like I found my person. Even her Korean friends in particular, like there's a lot of gender hostility in Korea these days. And she said that it was Korean women in particular who were warning her about Korean men. She was like, Korean men are trash. Don't waste your time. So after they went on several dates, it was about 2 months later, she said, where he asked her to be his girlfriend. They decided to go steady and be an actual official couple. They were hanging out as much as they could, talking on the phone as often as they could. She would go to his apartment, he would come to her apartment. He really liked to spend time at her apartment because he didn't have to time it like, oh, you gotta make sure like, no, like my roommate's not here, you gotta make sure my family's not here. When you're an English teacher, you get your apartment by yourself. And that is one thing people love. They're like, oh, you're an English teacher, because they know that means you probably most likely live by yourself. Fast forward about 6 months from when they first met. She says this is like September, October, and he said that he wanted her to meet his family. Now, this is where I got more interested in the story because I've experienced dating Korean men. I've seen my friends dating Koreans. I've seen a lot of story times. I've done a lot of story times about that part of it, but I've never gotten to cover what it's like when the foreigner meets the fam. So I was like, oh, sis, tell me more. I never met, like I only had one boyfriend in Korea, but I never met his family. And he always kept me, he didn't tell them about me because he knew, I can't remember which parent was gonna be cool with it. One was gonna be cool with it and one was absolutely not gonna have it. I can't remember. I think his dad was cool with it because he was a diplomat and he was kind of used to being abroad. His mom was not gonna be okay with that. Of course, she's nervous and hesitant because we've heard all the stories about how Korean elders and older people can be more unwelcoming, more judgmental, less accepting. Yeah, let's say that, less accepting. Jasmine said, you know, while she's in Korea this whole time up to this point, younger people are fine. Like younger people are used to seeing us. They probably had us as teachers, English teachers when they were kids, or now, you know, as at hagwons and tutors and stuff. But she said it's the elder generation, the older people, where she gets the hostility from, where they stare at her, they get up when she sits down next to them on the train or the bus, they kind of point. And so that's what she said. She was like, oh my God, like who am I meeting? Who in your family exactly am I meeting? So he has a little brother who was like middle school age, so he's fine. Of course, he's like, oh yeah, you look like my teacher. He has his mom and his grandfather. She never told me anything about his dad, so I don't know what happened there. I don't know all of that. So because she said she was the one that was hesitant about it, it made her feel comfortable and more reassured because he's like, oh, they'll love you. And he really wanted them to meet. And she said she could see that it meant so much to him. And she was touched that he was like so serious with her enough that he was like, yo, I want you to meet my family. So she's like, all right, we're gonna do it. Of course, she's talking herself out of it, kind of like, oh, I probably need to learn some more Korean first. Oh, you know, we could do this some other time, and I'm sure they're busy. Jasmine lives in Seoul. Her boyfriend lives in Seoul. They had to travel down to Jeollanam to meet the family. Jeollanam is like the southernmost part of the mainland in Korea, like southwest. Not the eastern part near Busan. Nam means south. And when she told me that he drove her, I was like, yes, sis, we love a man who drives. Sorry, babe. She said she was in the car practicing her Korean, like making sure she remembered to use her honorifics. I was like, that is so cute. And then part of her is like, babe, like we can come up with something, right? Can you just tell them we can't do this, something came up with work? And yeah, that would be very believable in Korea because they do work all the damn time. But then she's like, nah, fuck it. Like we here, we almost here. I gotta get this over with eventually. I love this man, he loves me. This is gonna have to happen one way or another. Sooner or later, let's do it now. So this part I thought was so cute. She asked if he would go up to like his front door first so she could see their faces, like see if they had, you know, friendly, happy, smiley faces, or if they had like a scowl or something. So she said, can I wait in the car and then you go get them at the door and then I'll come? I was like, that is so cute. So yeah, she's watching from the car, trying to read their expressions, see if they have kind faces. They open the door, the mom opens the door, and she sees like the mom has this bright, warm smile, like, oh, Ador, my son, Uri Ador. Like she's so happy to see him. And that made her happy. Like she sees this big ass grin on his mom's face and she's like, oh bless, like in the car, so she's excited. The grandfather comes down, he's also excited. The little brother, being a little knuckle, he's excited too. So she's like, all right, cool. She's excited now. Like they look happy, like they know they're about to meet his girlfriend and they look happy. They're not like, you bringing another bitch home, huh? They look happy. I do think it is really interesting that it's roughly three generations. It's a little brother, a mom, and a grandmother, and all of their expressions you're about to hear, all of their reactions that you're about to hear are pretty different. So the boyfriend comes out, they're all standing in the door like, come on, like bring her in, bring her in. And you know, she gets out, she's like, hi, you know, making sure she bows and putting her hand out, and she's like so nervous and jittery but being polite and pristine, you know. The little brother, he's like, hi, and you know, he's kind of all shy, but he's like staring at her, like not really a problem, who cares, he's a little boy. The mom, her smile kind of just, it wiped away slowly. She said she saw it just kind of slowly drain from her face. Like she was smiling, but she wasn't showing her teeth anymore. It was one of those. The grandfather, however, she said she saw the smile completely drain from his face. He just went. Little brother is sitting there trying to practice his English, like, hello, nice to meet you, where you come from, welcome to our home, you know, practicing his English. Because it is kind of cute when you see Korean people show off their English. You know, they're always, hey, let me chat up with this foreigner, I'll show you how good my English is. And they're like, whoa, you must be rich, you have a good tutor, you can speak English well. So since they're speaking English, this is the part in the story that I did not believe. I didn't want to believe it, but she said, girl, I can't make this shit up, it happened. The grandfather said in English, because again, little brother speaking English, so the grandfather wants to show off his English. He said, you bring monkey to our home.
Hey yo, what the fuck?
Just for context, not that it matters, Jasmine is half Mexican, half black. When you look at her though, like she has like sandy brown, I don't want to give too much away because y'all might go through my followers and be like, oh, it must be her, she's the girl from Storytime. She's really fair skinned, and honestly, I didn't even know she was half black, but apparently everything of color is a monkey. So she's still trying to smile and be polite because she couldn't tell if that was like a fucked up attempt at a bad joke or if, you know, like what do you do? So the mom, she's just like like trying to laugh it off because like the mom, you can tell she's uncomfortable, but she doesn't want to be rude. The grandfather doesn't care if he's rude. The little boy is totally fine, like it's whatever. And that is another reason why I like foreigners going over there to teach and stuff, because when you get them used to seeing us young, it's not a big deal anymore. This is when the boyfriend comes in, he steps in and he's like what the fuck, like are you serious dude? Like the boyfriend's mad, he's pissed. He's like, y'all knew she was coming, like what the hell, why y'all acting like this? And the mom, they reconvened in the corner. She speaks really good Korean, Jasmine, but she just said she didn't really understand what they were saying. And she said she still doesn't know if they knew that she was black because he says he told them, but they seem surprised that she was black, so we don't really know if they knew or not. Little boy, he's asking questions. What's your favorite color? I like Avengers. Do you know Iron Man? Like he is totally unfazed. He's talking to her, but the grandfather, the boyfriend, and the mom are in the corner talking. She doesn't know what they said, but the grandfather left. He didn't want to be in the same room. The mom is like, okay, come on, let's go have dinner. And then she asked like, what about like the ajashi? And she just, later, not drinking. So yeah, they just have this awkward dinner. She said she could tell that the mom was doing her absolute best to keep her comfortable and, you know, engage her in the situation and everything and include her and ask her questions. And she was trying to practice her English too. And she's like, oh, you know, when I was younger, I lived in New York for 6 months, and she's trying to speak to her in English, but Jasmine's like, oh, I actually speak Korean pretty well. And she insisted on speaking English, which is cute.
Cute.
So they're eating this dinner and the vibes are there. She said the mom was getting a lot more comfortable, and so much so in fact that she actually invited her the following week to come back for Chuseok. Jasmine was like, I wanted to so politely decline, but of course she had to say yes, because when somebody says, hey, come over, and you're like, nah, not feeling it, that's not gonna leave a good taste in their mouth. So she agreed to come back over for Chuseok. And then she's like, what about the grandfather? And the mom's like, don't worry, I'll talk with him before Chuseok, yada yada. And that is where I'm gonna leave this part because it is late. I will film part 2 soon because this is a crazy story. Jasmine got invited to Chuseok and she's honored, you know, to be included, but at the same time she's like, yo, I don't want to go through this awkwardness and weirdness again so soon because it's only a week between now and Chuseok. She was actually kind of hoping to have like a private little holiday with her and her boyfriend, because Chuseok is one of the few Korean holidays where you get like several days off of work and off of school. She was hoping that they could take a little trip somewhere, just the two of them.
Just the two of us. We can make it if we try.
So the next thing that happens, while the mom is still awkwardly trying to have dinner with Jasmine, the boyfriend goes to find the granddad and talk to the granddad, like, what the fuck was that about this monkey comment? Like, what does she estimate? This probably was about 10 minutes that he was gone talking to the grandfather. One thing Jasmine said was going through her mind at this point was because, you know, her boyfriend did say that he told them that she was black, but the way they were acting didn't match that. So part of her wanted to ask the mom, like, I'm just, you know, curious, did you know that I was a foreigner? She kept saying how she really just wanted to know from her mom directly how she felt about her son being with a foreigner. And then she said she wanted his mom to know that she just really loved her son and wished and hoped that that would be enough. Jasmine summons the courage and she decides to ask the mom, is it okay for me to be with your son? Just flat out ask her. So the mom says that she heard so much about Jasmine that she could tell in her son's tone that he was happy, he had found happiness, he was with someone that he really cared about, and that made her happy and excited for him. And she said that she thinks with time, things will get easier welcoming her to the family with her being a foreigner and of color. So she didn't really know how to take that. Like, she didn't know if she was saying like, I accept you, but the rest might not, or if she was saying we all need to adjust and wait this out before we can fully accept you. And believe it or not, the mom actually said she does prefer her son to be with a Korean woman. Like, she flat out said that to Jasmine's face. She said she was a little uncomfortable bringing someone into the family who was a foreigner and who was of color, but she also said she was at least happy that she was American, for whatever value that's worth. America. Like, what do you say if you're talking to someone and they say they kind of accept you, but they don't, but they think through time they will, but at least you're American? It's like, so Jasmine just says, you know, I wish that love and happiness was enough for this to work. And then the mom's like, yeah, I wish it was that simple too. Like, she's not the one making this more complicated than it needs to be. Saying you prefer your son to be with someone Korean, you're making this harder for everybody. So yeah, now the boyfriend comes back and he's pissed, he's fuming, he's ready to go. He says, Jasmine, come on, get your coat, we're leaving. And Jasmine's like what, like, what's going on? Like, what are you talking about? And the mom is also confused. She stands up, she's like, what happened? Why are you guys leaving? At least take a plate with you. Like, she doesn't know what's going on. Take somebody's side dishes. So as they're leaving and packing up their belongings, the boyfriend says, Mom, I'm sorry, but I don't think I'm gonna come to Chuseok this year, maybe next year. Jasmine looks at him like, what happened? What did I miss? Fumbling with her stuff, and then she's like, hey, oh, I'm sorry, I don't know what's going on, but it was really nice to meet you. And she gets out the door, gets in the car with the boyfriend, and they drive. So then they're in the car, and like I said, they're going back up to Seoul from Jeollanam, so it's a few hours drive. She said it was, you know, a bit of an awkward silence for like the first 5 minutes, and they're kind of just sitting there like, she could tell that he was angry, he was upset, and she didn't know what to say. She didn't know what was said or what happened. So then they both spoke at the same time, where she goes, what happened? He goes, I'm sorry. And they said that at the same time. So then he explains what happened with his grandfather. So the grandfather says, why would you bring that to this house? Why can't you find a nice Korean girl? This is why you shouldn't have studied abroad. I knew this was a bad idea. Think of your kids. They won't look normal. They'll be bullied. Then the grandfather said, your mom feels the same way I do. We talked about this. She's just better at faking it than I am. Next time you come home, don't bring her. So naturally, hearing this, Jasmine starts to cry. She's in the car and she's crying like, oh my God, what? Because she just had a decent conversation with his mom. Awkward though it was, she felt like the mom was making an effort, canning her food, trying to be nicer, trying to get to know her, asking her questions. And now she's like, was that a lie? Because the grandfather did just say that she's better at faking it than he was. So then he pulls over to console her because like she's upset, she's crying, and she's just like, oh my God, like what? And he feels so bad. He's so sorry that he put her in a situation, because he was like, look, I know you're here without your family, and I really wanted my family to be your family. I truly did not expect them to act like this. I thought they were better than this. He felt sorry and embarrassed that his family ended up being those racist people that they talked about hating so much. He did say that he can't see his mom sharing those harsh views like his grandfather, but who knows, because at the same time, he didn't expect them to act like this at all, period. So nobody knows what to believe at this point. He said he was really sorry they had to leave so suddenly, but he really just wanted to get her out of that situation. Because while he's talking with his grandfather, he has no idea what his mom is talking with his girlfriend about, especially given what his grandfather just told him. He's like, oh my God, my mom is probably down there making this girl cry, making her feel unwanted and hated, and she's probably gonna want to break up with me. So while they're in the car and he's explaining everything, his mom called like a few times, and after like the fourth time, Jasmine said, you should just pick up the phone, it could be an emergency, we don't know what's going on. So when they finally decide, okay, whatever, he picks up the call, and it's like Bluetooth, so like it's in the car, everybody in the car can hear. Jasmine stays quiet. She's like trying to like stifle her sobbing and her crying, and the mom doesn't know she's on speaker, so she's apologizing to her son. Oh, I do, like, come back, I'm sorry, it's gonna be okay. What happened? Like, what did he say? Because she says she talked to the grandfather, but she doesn't know if what he said was actually what he said. So she wanted to hear it from her son directly. She said, you left so fast, like I wanted to clear up the situation, I don't know what happened. So he says, look, Grandpa said not to bring her around here anymore. that I should be with a nice Korean girl studying abroad has tainted my mind, and that you feel the same way that he does, and next time I come home not to bring her. So I left because I didn't know what you were saying to her in the other room. So after hearing all that, Jasmine decides to speak up, and she says, thank you for trying to accept me. And then the mom's like, omo, like she didn't know that she was on speaker. She didn't know that she could hear her. You know how you can tell in someone's tone when they've been crying? So the mom picked it up and she's like, 아이고, 괜찮아요. Like, it's gonna be okay. I'm so sorry. 힘내세요. Then the mom said, don't worry, I'll talk to your grandfather. Don't worry about the next time. I'll talk to your grandfather. Don't really know what that meant. Jasmine still doesn't fully understand what she meant by that, but it is what it is. They're still driving way back up to Seoul. So he said that he doesn't want to put Jasmine in that situation. He's telling his mom this. I don't want to put Jasmine in that situation again. I didn't expect you guys to behave like this. I thought you taught me to be loving and accepting of people. She spent time in New York, and that's why she wanted him to study abroad too, because it gives you a more broad sense of the world. So he really thought his family were those type of people that would embrace her. He's completely caught off guard and embarrassed and ashamed. So he's ready to get off the phone with the mom now, because she's like, oh, like talk to your grandfather one more time. Let's clear this up. Let's fix the situation. And he said, the next time you want to see me, come up to Seoul, because I'm not going back to the house. I'm not going home, and I'm not bringing Jasmine there. And of course, you know, Jasmine, she's sitting there crying, but she feels a lot better because she's like, wow, my man really got my back. But also she feels bad because she feels like she's causing a rift in the family, which is really not her fault at all.
It's not your fault. Don't do this to me, man. Not you, man. It's not your fault. Screw you. Cut it out, man. It's not your fault. Oh, why is it so hard? I didn't know it was gonna be so hard.
Like, bro, they're just in love. Why can't it just be that simple? So fast forward about a week to Chuseok, and like her boyfriend said, he's a man of his word, and he did not go home for Chuseok. And for the first time in a long time, well, when he was studying abroad, he didn't go home either. But this is the first time that he's been in Korea, on Korean soil, and he did not make his way home to see his family for Chuseok. Instead, they spent it together. They had a little gathering with their friends, and you know, Chuseok is a nice few days where you can enjoy no work and no school. So they had a nice time together. That being said, the mom did call a few times during Chuseok, and you know, the son, he had a, you know, some small talk with his mom, like, yeah, we're eating well, we're eating good, it's fine, happy Chuseok, you know, things like that. And she asked if she could speak to Jasmine, and he was adamant. He was like, you're not speaking to her. No, like, all this is still fresh. The monkey comment, don't bring her in my home, that just happened last week. So they want to have some good time, make some happy memories, and try to bury that and erase that. But Jasmine's like, you know what, I think I should talk to her. And the reasoning makes me upset. You know, it's not Jasmine, but the situation. She wanted to talk to the mom because she wanted to apologize to the mom for causing conflict, which I'm like, girl, imagine you're being the one discriminated against and you feel it necessary to apologize. She's just that nice, because she's better than me. I would have respectfully kept my distance until they were ready to apologize to me. And if that never happens, it never happens, you know? But I'm not gonna apologize for being mistreated and experiencing racism.
That's weird.
So he hands the phone to Jasmine, and she says, first of all, you know, I really just want to apologize. I never meant for any of this to happen. I just wanted to meet you because I love your son. And the mom is like, with time, this will be easier. Like, that's one of the things she just kept saying. With time, this will be easier to accept. With time, we'll all be able to understand, whatever that means. So then she says, going forward, don't worry about the grandfather. I'll talk to him. And she keeps saying that too. At this point, he's towards the end of his life, so he shouldn't be a problem too much longer. As morbid as that sounds, it's facts. She's like, you know, I can wait this out. The brother is accepting, the mom is borderline. Only the grandfather is like absolutely hateful. She has no idea what the rest of his family is like, the cousins and uncles and extended family, but this is the immediate one, so this is the one she's more concerned with. So they ended the phone call pretty amicably, but then she said, hey, can you hand the phone back to my son? And the son says, no, I don't really feel like talking right now. We're busy. We're in the middle of doing something. So before she gets off the phone, she's like, okay, can you just ask him something for me? I wanted to know if he would be okay if me and his brother came up to Seoul just to briefly visit you guys during Chuseok. Because again, it's a few days. They still wanted to see him. He said he wasn't going to go back to Jeollanam. So they said, fine, if we come to Seoul, will you agree to meet us? And again, he's not about it. He's like, I don't want to see y'all right now. Like, this was a lot. This went really bad. And Jasmine is the one who talks him into it and thinks it's a good idea, because even if the grandfather doesn't like her, she at least wants to show that she's making an effort to get to know his mom. The little brother, he's fine. Like, it's whatever to him. So the mom says, okay, great, don't worry about cooking, we'll make the food, we'll bring it over, and we'll have a nice meal. Fast forward another day or so, and the boyfriend asks the mom, hey, do you want me to pick you up from the train station, or are you gonna come like straight to my apartment? And they say, yeah, we'll just go straight to your apartment. So he's like, all right, cool. So ding dong, they're here, they're at the apartment, yay, time for food and Chuseok family fun. He goes to the door, he opens the door, he sees his little brother, he sees his mom, and he sees his grandfather.
What more do you want from me?
Now, when the mom asked to come over, she did not mention that she was bringing her daddy with her too. So he's not having this. He steps outside. Jasmine's like in the apartment like, why did he leave? So they're talking outside in the hallway, and she goes closer to the door. Listen, he says, you're not coming in my house. You're not welcome here because she's here. And you said you didn't want to see her. You said if I go home not to bring her, so why would you come here knowing she's here? So then his mom jumps in and says he wants to show that he's regretful about the situation. And then the boyfriend is like, why can't he speak for himself? Like, why are you speaking up for him? Like, you're trying to be the mediator. Let him speak for himself. So at this point, Jasmine walks into the hallway, and they all go quiet. They go silent. They just... Then she calmly just says to the grandfather, why do you hate me so much? And the grandfather says, I don't hate you. That is all he said. He said, I don't hate you. And he got quiet again. So then the boyfriend said, why would I let you in here when my girlfriend's here? So then the grandfather just said, Kanda. He just said, I'm leaving. Fine, I'll leave. And he left. He walked away. So then the little brother is just sitting there like looking at the adults argue over what seems like nothing to him. And the mom is worried about her dad. She's like I can't let him go off by himself. So she hands the son the food and everything. And the little brother is like, yo, I'm just hungry. Can we eat? He's like, no, you should probably go with them. Look after them. And they had like a cute little playful goodbye moment. Like you could tell he had a really good relationship with his little brother. So yeah, they all walk off as quick as they came. They all leave. And now they just have all these food and side dishes. And they're just like, okay. So they take it inside and that was it. She said there hasn't been much communication with them since then. And this was 2018, 2019, they were not planning to go. But she did say that COVID kind of helped out their situation a little bit because people were required to keep distance and not advised to travel much, so they were able to use COVID as like a good excuse to not have to travel all the way down to Jeollanam or have them come up to Seoul. And especially since the grandfather is pretty old and weak in age, you know, they didn't want to risk it, so they said, you know what, sorry, we would, but COVID. She said with the exception of like the occasional hello in the background of phone calls, she hasn't really seen them or talked to them. But she did say later this year she is considering trying again with Chuseok because now at this point it's been years since that happened and they're still together, they're engaged. So she's like, I do want to try and have a relationship with your mom because I am her daughter-in-law, or I will be her daughter-in-law. The grandfather, whatever, he'll be gone soon. That's the way that it is what it is. They haven't been back to Chuseok, even though the mom does keep inviting them. And she is hopeful about that because at least she's still trying to make an effort. Like, well, the mom keeps inviting me. It's not like she's not talking about her, bringing her up, or caring if she comes or not. Like, she's still getting an invite, so that meant something to her. But yeah, that is the story. That is everything up to date right now. I hope it was worth the wait. Again, I'm so sorry that I abruptly ended part 1, but I was so tired. I was out of it. Thanks for
What's up, idols? It's Cece Lesson 3. Welcome back to my channel, and thank you so much for clicking on this video. This is a story time I'm particularly excited to hear about. For one, we get to hear about what it's like to be a foreigner working at a K-pop company, and two, we get to hear good old-fashioned love stories. But before we get into this, if you want to see more story times like this, in particular, if you want to see another beautiful love story, then check out my Patreon. And the reason I have to put it on Patreon is because she went into some explicit details about what their second night together was like. Here's a clip. Seeing him with his hair wet was amazing. He was so much hotter when I saw how curly it was and how it looked wet. After the shower, we sat in my bed, only in the towels, and talked more. We had snacks and I lighted some candles. He offered to rub my shoulders, which yes, thank you. His hands were strong yet soft. Sometime after, maybe about 10 minutes, we had sex. He kissed my neck and asked me to lay on my stomach for back massage next. He then started massaging my butt. Then he started to touch and enter me with... So yeah, guys, if you want to hear more story times like that, stuff that I can't particularly put on YouTube without risk of demonetization, then I highly suggest you check out my Patreon. I think you'll really like the videos we have there. They're racking up at this point. Also, if you're curious and you want to see what my boyfriend looks like, I have a few pictures of us together there as well. So thank you all so much. Everybody who watches these videos, everybody who's joined my Patreon, you have no idea what you mean to me. I really, really appreciate it more than you'll ever know. Right, for this story time though, as K-pop becomes more and more global, the demand and the reach and expansion expansion to foreigners and foreign countries also increases. This means they are hiring foreigners. Some of the positions global workers are now eligible for are idol manager, as well as marketing and business direction roles in K-pop entertainment companies. For this story time, we're going to call her Lilo. Lilo and Stitch. She didn't tell me specifically what her degree was, but she says she has a background in IT and like media marketing. Because she's considered a very skilled worker, her company sponsored her visa. She's not an entertainer or a dancer or a singer or anything like that. She's in communication, management, and the media aspect of it all. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes in the music entertainment industry. So first, she wanted to tell you guys a little bit about what's required for a job like this, like how you could get a job like this if that's what you want. And then she's going to tell us how she met her man, how they got engaged, how they got married. So one thing she really wanted you guys to know, if it's anything like what she's experienced, you'll have to be able to speak, read, and write in Korean at a proficient level. She also said your resume and your cover letter should also be in Korean. And don't expect any special treatment as a foreigner. You have to work just as hard as the Koreans. You have to have as much free time to devote to work as the Korean people do. She said you're basically on standby at their women call. Even when you're not at work, you're still at home doing work that pertains to your work. And Lilo also wanted to let you guys know she doesn't make a whole lot of money. She only makes about 28,000 US right now. But as she spends more time with the company, she will start to make more. But it's not the best, most high-paying job, but it's an exciting job. And all her needs are met. You know, she can pay her rent, she can eat, she's not struggling. It's just not as much as you could expect. She also said that she's noticed they target English-speaking foreigners. And of course, you know, you do have the need for like Spanish speakers or Japanese speakers, Mandarin speakers. But for now, she's seen a lot of people who speak English being sought out. She even said she started seeing positions that were only for foreigners, like no Korean apply, only a foreigner. She said it's a 9-to-5 job mostly, but again, a lot of the times, even when you're home, you need to get back to work immediately if they tell you to. She did say that she sees the idols pretty often, but they're younger and they're not quite her vibe, so she doesn't really know who they are. And a lot of times she has no idea who anybody is, because the dancers, the singers, the staff, they wear masks, the cameramen, they're in masks and hats, and she doesn't know who is who most of the time. It's like peaks and valleys of being busy. Like when there's time in between comebacks, you can relax a little bit. But when the time for the comeback ramps up, and when the time for the comeback is here, you don't sleep. So if you're into the K-pop aspect of it, and you know these younger groups, you may be starstruck, but she said she's not affected by that anymore. She said the people at her company are very friendly. They welcomed her with open arms, and they also ask her for her opinion on a lot of different topics because she's a foreigner, because she's a Westerner, and because she spends so much time at work, they became her friends and her family. She doesn't have a lot of time to socialize with people, to go on dates with people outside of work. And that brings us to a coworker we're going to call Sungwoo. I was going to call him Stitch, but that feels kind of rude. Stitch is adorable, but not like for a human name, you know? So yeah, they became friends and they get coffee together, complain about how busy they were, complain about how needy some people were, missing family, lack of sleep. Basically, they were able to trauma bond. And because they were in the same industry, they could relate to each other very easily. So she ended up meeting Sungwoo when some of her friends invited him and his friends, and eventually it started to get to a situation where Lilo and Sungwoo would meet one-on-one without the friends, but it was still a casual thing. Like they weren't dating yet. They still would just meet up one-on-one for some coffee, for some lunch, just to talk, shoot the shit. She says Sungwoo is tall. She added like 9 L's, so he's tall. But she says she's also tall. She's like 5'9", so him being tall, she appreciates it more. She said he's really handsome, but initially she found him kind of scary and intimidating because his facial features are pretty harsh, and he's also older. He's not like an old man, but he's older than her. She said he's very quiet initially, but the more they started to meet up and talk, he opened up, and he's actually pretty silly, and that really surprised her. Even when they would take pics together in like silly photo booths, he'd be the first person to reach for like the headband with a heart on it and grab some plushies. So yeah, they started out as really, really good friends with each other first before the romantic interest was there. But one day, Sungwoo started to talk with Lilo about Korea long term. He asked her like if she missed her family, when's the last time she got to go back home, could she see herself living in Korea like permanently. She said she absolutely loves Korea. She has no intentions of going back home. This is home for her now. Her friends and her coworkers are her family. She loves her job, and he was so relieved to hear that. The reason why will be explained in a little bit. But yeah, he was getting pretty flirty. He was asking her about dating and all that stuff, and it made her feel a little nervous because she thought that, you know, talking like this with a coworker or even dating a coworker was like a big no-no. But apparently at this particular company, it's not a big deal at all. And I feel like they would be cruel if they made it a problem because they have no free time to really go out and find their own partner outside of work. So basically, as long as you're not distracted at work by your partner, there's no obvious PDA, there's no problem whatsoever at this particular company, which is great. So they bonded over the fact that they have no time to date, but they do love their job, but they're getting older and they're like, what should I do? I should settle down, but how? There's no time for that.
What more do you want from me?
So as they talked about dating, she revealed that she's been on a few dates before, but nothing serious. She's also too busy to see them again. A lot of times they just wanted to sleep with her. And after a while, she basically decided to throw herself into work and stop thinking about boys and dating. And there was this part in the email where she mentioned how Korea is doing the most to try and make couples get married and have kids again, except addressing what's preventing them from having kids and getting married, i.e. work and the cost of living. There's literally no time to raise a human. She said that's another thing that her and Sungwoo talks about so much. It's really funny watching Korea do everything and reach for the most out there solutions when it's pretty obvious and clear why people aren't having kids and getting married anymore. People can just about afford to take care of themselves. Raising a human is expensive. They spend a lot of their time at work or doing work-related things even when they're not at work. And she said until the government addresses that, it ain't gonna change. In fact, everyone she knows at her company is childless. One of her friends is expecting, and she's a woman, and she has to decide if she's gonna keep working or stay home as a full-time mom. And the dad works too. One thing she found kind of frustrating was it's not even a discussion or in the realm of possibility that he would stop working. No, it's fully expected for her to stop working. They make around the same amount at different jobs and they both make decent money. So they can get off on one parent's income, but she loves her job and she hates that she has to choose. So that's another situation a lot of women find themselves in. She said they might get a nanny. They don't know what they're going to do just yet. Sorry, I just find it incredibly frustrating to see all these irrelevant solutions Korea's government has to their rapidly declining birth rate. Here's one, for example, that I just saw in the Korea Herald. We were talking about that, me and Marika, a few days ago in that video. They have this plan to start sending girls to school, to potentially start sending girls to school a year before the boys, and here's why. A state-run research organization in South Korea has sparked a debate after its analysis suggesting that sending girls to school a year earlier could help boost fertility rates last week. The Korea Institute of Public Finance, a government-funded center dedicated to evaluating the country's tax system and public spending, proposes sending girls to school early, assessing that it can make men and women more attracted to each other when they reach marriageable age, because men develop more slowly than women. Considering the fact that men's development is slower than women's, allowing women to enter school a year earlier may contribute to making men and women more attractive to each other in the future when they reach the right age for marriage. The report noted in its May issue on fiscal and policy recommendations to respond to the declining working population. Its suggestion is based on the percentage that men are sexually attracted to relatively younger women and women are attracted to relatively older men. Notice they didn't say sexually for the girl to man part. So like, are they like, that's not, no, stop it.
Get some help.
Stop doing that!
Because when they get to the marriageable age, they're still not going to be able to afford raising a kid. And with all the gender issues running rampant in Korea. Sorry, this video ain't about that. Back to the love story. So basically, Lilo and Sungwoo agree that it is very difficult to date, plan a future like marriage and kids, also while working as much as they're required to work. So then Sungwoo suggested they date each other. We see each other all the time at work. Why not make it official? It would be pretty convenient, no? And then Lilo's like, is that allowed? I mean, you're my coworker. He's like, well, none of us are superior to the other. We just happen to work at the same company, but like when our work isn't directly related to each other, should be fine. As long as we're not obviously, PDAing all over each other, making out. As long as our work quality doesn't slip, we'll be fine, right? Let's see what happens. If we keep it professional, we will be absolutely fine. And she was happy to hear that because she was developing a little crush on him.
사랑해, 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 사랑해요. 안녕하세요. 사랑해.
She wasn't sure how the coworkers would react to this because, they're dating. That's kind of a big deal. So initially they decided to keep it a little secret. If it becomes more official, if it goes somewhere, then sure, let everybody know. But if it fizzles out, no harm, no foul, no need to get everyone worked up over nothing. And because they had already spent so much time together one-on-one, it wasn't suspicious at all when they would do this, even though now they're dating. So there was one day where he picked her up after work and they went straight to a restaurant for dinner. They didn't really have time to change or anything like that. It wasn't like a super fancy place. They were just starving and wanted to spend some time together, which is so sweet. He told her to order whatever she wanted because he wanted to make sure she had a good meal. And of course it went well because they had already spent so much time talking with each other. The chemistry was already there. The only real difference was he's a lot more complimentary on her appearance and her personality and saying how beautiful she is. He was also more like, more what's the word? Not skinship. He touched her more, physical touch. They were holding hands, and the nature of their conversation did change a bit because they started to talk more about each other's types, what they were looking for in a partner, past relationships and things like that you talk about when you're getting to know someone you're dating. And the more they talked, the more she felt like they were very compatible. He talked about how he enjoyed his free time and his free space, but because they have so much of their time wrapped up in work, and neither of them seemed like the jealous type, so it seemed like it was going to be a really good fit. And when he talked about past relationships, she was very relieved that he was so open and willing to talk about it, because a lot of people tend to be more secretive and it's like, I don't want to talk about that. So yeah, they were talking about past relationships. He was very open about it, and he did reveal that he used to be engaged. And that was one of the reasons why he was really focused on making sure that if she was going to stay in Korea, she was going to stay in Korea, because he had a previous fiance move abroad for work to New Zealand, and she liked it there a lot and decided to not come back to Korea. So he was heartbroken, naturally. He proposed to her. They were going to get married. When he first decided to pursue Lilo, he's like, you good in Korea? You're going to stay here? I can't go through this heartbreak again. And even when he told her that, she's like, oh, that's why you asked. Oh, that's so sweet. But yeah, she reassured him she's not going anywhere. She loves Korea. She's there for the long haul. So the chemistry was chemistrying. And naturally, you know, as you're talking, getting to know someone, certain urges and desires may come up between two lovers, right? You know, you're getting there. And she was really worried about taking that next step because, yeah, they've been used to seeing each other one-on-one like this for a while now, even before they decided to call it a date. But now, if they sleep together, that really changes things. She said it was very clear that they both wanted to.
Believe me, I want to.
But they were also both very hesitant to cross that line. She said once she let him in, she knew that it had to work. Like, he had to be her boyfriend. This had to be a long-term thing. Because, you know, sex isn't a big deal for everybody, but it's a big deal for her. So after dating for about a month, they decided to take this next step in their relationship. Why am I doing this? The first time was awkward, as you can imagine, because up until now, you know, they seemed like really good friends with good chemistry, but now they were lovers. They were actually in a relationship together, because as soon as they were done, he officially asked her to be his girlfriend. That is great timing. Not before, because that's when it's like, oh, you just want me to be your girlfriend, so I feel better about sleeping with you. You just want to play with me.
I want to play a game.
But if it's after, it's a bit more reassuring. Sorry, man, dating is treacherous.
War. Terrible war.
Once they finally made it official at work, he stopped hiding it. He would send her flowers, and the card would clearly say his name. It was not a secret anymore. He'd swing by and drop her off some coffee. She would bring him lunch, and they would hold hands. And they even had the occasional kiss on the cheek. That seems pretty okay, right? That's mostly professional. It's not rude. It's not gross. Now, when they first started to date, they were pretty lucky because it was at one of those, not peaks, but like a valley. It was not very busy right now. But, or a trough, is that? It's like a peak and a wave and then a trough, right? But the timing of when they decided to become an official relationship was really bad because they were gearing up for some major comebacks. And it was hard because they didn't really have a lot of time to spend together anymore. So they kept up their relationship as best as they could for this whole first year. Coffee breaks, lunchtime, he'd drive her home, she'd spend the night at his place. Whatever time they could spend together, they did. So one day, while they were all on vacation in Bali, things took a beautiful turn. She longed for the beach and vacation and relaxation, and they all finally got it. And it wasn't just Sungwoo and Lilo, it was like all the friends. They all decided to take a trip together to a resort in Bali. And Lilo wasn't expecting anything on this trip. She just wanted to relax by the beach. They had group dinners, they went hiking, they went diving, they had spa days, and of course they spent an abundance of time on the beach. So, not thinking too much about one particular night, they were at a group dinner when Sungwoo stands up and proposes a toast. He starts off, you know, to our first vacation in God knows how long, to success at work, to all the friendship we've developed, you know, all the good things you want to hear when you're on vacation with your homies. But then he turned his attention to Lilo. He said, you know, there's no secret that this job comes with pros and cons. You guys are all aware of this. But one of the good things is it brought me closer to this amazing woman. By the way, all this is in Korean. She speaks Korean. I'm just saying this in English because that's what she typed out. But he don't speak English. She said it was a very brief speech, and then he turned to her, got closer to her, got down on one knee as he reached in his pocket, pulled out a ring, and asked her to marry him. She hesitated at first because she thought it might be a prank. Because all the friends, all the homies was there, and they had been to way nicer restaurants together as a group. He picked this place on a night that's stormy and rainy. It didn't seem like the type of mood where he would do something like this seriously. But she said yes. All the co-workers were shocked. They didn't know if this was really happening. None of them knew this was coming. He told nobody because he didn't want to risk anybody telling her. And they were all so encouraging. They were all happy for them, and you love to see it. So they were engaged at this point, and they ended up being engaged for like another year. So 2 years together so far. Well, almost 2 years. She said they were engaged for almost a year, and they just recently tied the knot this spring in Jeju at a resort in Seogwipo. She was really sad that her family didn't get to come out and see it, but she's hoping that one of these days when they get another vacation, they can go back to the States. She can bring him, because they haven't even met this boy yet, and hopefully have like another smaller ceremony for her family, because his family came and they're all supportive. They kept saying that it was a day they never thought they'd see come. They're like, wow, we were starting to think he was never going to marry. That's kind of normal these days, to just stay single. But they were happy to see him married, and they were happy to see him happy. That's all that should matter. It's early June, so we're still in spring. And she said one of the things that she felt really like drawn to him about is the conversations they would have as friends, because there is a lot of anti-feminism in Korea, mostly between like 20s and 30-something-year-old men. And one thing she felt so relieving about him is he was not that. She says she secured her an oppa, an older guy who understands. He's supportive of women's rights. He's very patient. He says, I see, you know, the women working at our company, and they work hard as fuck. Like, they deserve a lot better than what they're getting these days. So yeah, she said he's a very understanding and patient man. He works really hard, but he doesn't let it take over his whole life, which is a hard thing to do in Korea. He always makes time to see her. He makes time for his wife. He makes sure she doesn't feel neglected. He sees his family. She doesn't know how he balances it all, but she appreciates him for it. We need more of this. Like, don't get me wrong, it is always good to be aware of the fuckery in the world, but I love, and I love hearing these stories. Another one that was a pleasure to read, just like the one on Patreon. Sungwoo, Lilo, congratulations. I hope this is a long-lasting marriage. She said they've dabbled in the discussion of kids, but again, in this economy, how? Okay, how are we going to afford to raise a kid? How are we going to find the time to raise a human? It's not possible right now. It's not feasible. He's not pressuring her. She's still young enough. She's got time. So there might be an update if there's a baby on the way. But for now, everything is great. No need to rush anything else. And I'm happy. Are y'all happy? Because I'm so happy now. If you enjoyed this story time, please check out some of the other videos on the playlist. It's about to pop up on the end screen. We have so many story times like this. Foreigners dating in Korea. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Thank you so much for watching. If you did, remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I will see you guys next time. Annyeong. So after they showered together, Shin asked her if he could spend the night at her place, and she said at that point it was fine because it was like 11, almost midnight. It was pretty late, and she was like, yeah, you know, you might as well just stay if you want. Yeah, it was about 8 a.m. and he was gone. So she's like, oh, did he ghost me? What's going on? Did he get what he wanted and now he's gone? So she reaches for her phone to see if he messaged her, and he did leave a message. The text said, what's up, idols? It's Cece Lesson 3. Welcome back to my channel. So for today, we got a Netflix and chill, aka a ramen and chill story time for y'all. This story is very personal and there is some thirst, so today's star would like to remain anonymous. We're gonna go with Raya. Have you guys seen Raya and the Last Dragon? That movie made me so emotional. Raya girl, thank you so much for sending everything you sent in the email. Honestly, this story goes so many places. I was reading this, I'm like, where's this going? Oh, this is going over here? Oh no, plot twist. Oh, this is, oh wait, that's not happening either. I had no idea where this story was gonna go. Where it ends, I did not see coming, so thank you so much for letting me tell this story on my channel. As always, please watch this video until the end of the video. Watch as long as you can. Audience retention is crucial to my channel growing. Y'all been doing the damn thing lately. Like, have you seen these numbers y'all been putting up? Also, do y'all hear that song in the background? Hit the like button if 7 by Jungkook slaps, if it's a bop. If it's fire, just leave a like if you like the song or me. For today's question of the day, it's a very relevant question to the story we're about to get into. Ladies, this is for you. Does size matter?
Or is it more about the motion of the ocean? You know, people say it's not what you got, it's how you use it. So can the little guys get the job done as well, or is that just impossible? Let me know in the comments. Again, it's pretty relevant for the story we're about to get into, so it's not just for no reason that I'm asking. This is hard-hitting journalism. I'm trying to get to the bottom of this debate. So okay, onward into the story. Raya, she's an English teacher in Suwon, South Korea. It's about 45 minutes south of Seoul, so she's close to Seoul. She goes into Seoul a lot, but she lives and works in Suwon. She's been there for about a year now, and she said that, you know, she loves teaching, she loves being abroad. One of her passions is dancing, and she found some really great hip-hop studios that she likes to go to in her free time. She's made a lot of friends there. She also says she's a sucker for a man who can dance, which, girl, I agree. It's so hard to find a quality man who's also a quality dancer. Then she said after being in Korea, existing in Korea, all the couple culture, all the couples around her made her realize, man, I'm loving my new life over here, but I kind of want to start dating. Good for us. She decides to avoid Tinder because we've all heard the stories of Tinder. She goes to Bumble. I'm not sure Bumble is like much better, but I'm sure it's not Tinder, so it's a little bit better, right? And you know, on Bumble, you can select your interests and everything, so she chose dancing. By the way, if you guys hear noise, there's construction literally right outside of this window. I'm annoyed. So she's hoping to find other people who are also dancers and interested in dance like she is. So after a few weeks of the typical ONS, FWB, one night, hookup, I love foreigner sex prompts that she'd been getting, she finally found a guy that she liked, and she decided to pay for like Bumble Plus or Bumble Extra, whatever you call it, so she could see the people who liked her first. So she's scrolling through, and then there's one guy that catches her eye, but he also looks a little familiar. This boy is a dancer at the studio she goes to. She said in all the times that she's seen him, she got no inkling, no hints that he was interested in her, no look or smile or wink or flirt, nothing. As far as she knew, he did not know she existed. So she was surprised to see that he hearted her. She's like, wait, does he know me? Or does he not recognize me? Hesitant though she was, she decided to go ahead and match him, and because it's Bumble, she has to make the first move and make the first message, and she has no idea what to say. Hey, you know, looking good at the studio. Hey, stranger. Like, how do you approach? Oh my god, they're so loud. So she decided to keep it simple and just say, hey, it's nice to meet you. And to her surprise, he messaged her back right away. She was a little worried because his first message back was, hey, do you speak Korean? And she's like, oh, well, you know, I'm learning, but I just got here. I'm not really that good at Korean yet. So then he's like, oh, don't worry about it. I can teach you. I'm a good teacher. So then she asked him how his English was. And he said, oh, my English isn't good, but it's also not bad either. Which that sentence says a lot. So at this point in the conversation, there's still not much being given away if he recognizes her from the studio or not. So she just decides to ask him, what are your hobbies? Like, do you like to dance? He's like, oh, I love to dance. I'm really passionate about hip-hop dancing. She's like, oh my god, me too. But at that point, she was like, hey, he did not know I existed before today, because otherwise, at this point, surely he would have mentioned, oh yeah, you know, I think we danced together. I think I've seen you at my studio. So Raya tells him she goes to a dance studio. She tells him the name of the studio. He's like, what? Get out of here. So do I. I go to that same one too. So at this point, she figured it'd be best to just pretend like she never noticed him, never clocked him until now, because that would be kind of weird and might come off as a little bit stalkerish. So she's like, yes, I know, I've seen you at the studio before. By the way, we're gonna call this guy Shin. I should have mentioned that. So for their first date, they decided to go out dancing together, which that sounds like so much fun. I've never had a guy invite me out dancing or ask me if I wanted to go out dancing. She's thrilled because Shin is so her type. And if y'all need a visual, close your eyes. Close your eyes. Shin is 27, 5'10". He has that middle part haircut and he dyes his hair like a medium brown, and it's so long that he has to keep brushing it back out of his face.
Her hair looks so sexy pushed back. Katie, will you please tell him his hair looks sexy pushed back?
He has a huge tattoo on his shoulder and his back, and he has muscle, but he's more lean because of dancing. He had a jawline that could cut glass. His style is very hip-hop. Imagine beanies, flannels, loose-fitting jeans, layers, hoodies. When I got this description, I kind of imagined B.I. Not be excited to go out with that, given that description. She did say the timing of this wasn't the best because she was in the middle of planning her very first English camp, her summer English camp, and it took a lot of prep, a lot of time. So they kept their conversation going, but they weren't able to actually meet up for like 2 weeks. Fast forward to date night, and Shin recommends a lounge that they could go to. They could have a few drinks, they could chill, they could dance a little bit. It won't be too crowded or too loud. So they meet up, and she thinks they're just going to a lounge, but Shin says, you know what, I'm actually pretty hungry. Can we go eat first? And she was a little nervous because she's like, crap, I don't want to eat in front of him. You know, I'm shy. I don't want to look messy or like a pig. And I also don't want to look bloated from this inevitable food baby that I'm about to have. So she said they got to the restaurant. She was trying her best to restrain herself and to eat lightly, but she said that she loves Korean food and it just smelled so good. It all just looked so good. She went ham.
Damn, little lady. You sure can't put it away.
And then she looks up and Shin's laughing and giggling. She's like, what was so funny? He's like, oh, you know, seeing you eat in front of me, I feel like you're very comfortable with me, which is good. You know, a lot of girls, they're like, I'll take the salad. He's like, you know, a lot of girls are shy and insecure about having a guy see them and watch them eat. She's like, me? Pfft, insecure? Nah, never. You lying bitch.
Why you always lying?
So they wash that down with a drink and then head over to the lounge. So he gets them a drink, they sit, they fill each other out, they vibe, they talk, the chemistry is there. And you know, she's feeling a little loose from her drinks. And then he says, hey, let's go dance. So they go dance. And she was just in awe just watching him move. And she was just like, wow, like, oh my God. She said he was so attractive, so confident, so playful, and just so much fun. And then she recalls this moment of just sitting there like, wait, this is going too well. This is too good to be true. Where's the secret wife, the secret girlfriend, the love child, the warrant for his arrest? There's gotta be something going on. There's no way this guy is into me and he's this. Waiting for something to go wrong, and nothing went wrong. The night came and went without incident. They had fun. He wasn't forward. He wasn't too suggestive. He ended the night with a kiss on the cheek and a hug and said, I'll see you again soon. Hopefully we can do this again. She said he was the perfect gentleman. She said she also could not deny the building sexual tension between them two.
Sensual seduction.
So the next day they're talking about more of their hobbies, more of their interests, and they get on the topic of movies and they're like, oh my God, I love movies so much. And he asks her if there's a movie out that she wants to see now. She says Jurassic World, I think it was Dominion last summer, and she wanted to see that, but she said it had been a while since the last ones came out and she needed to see like a refresher course. He said he hadn't seen any of the originals from the 90s, so they decided to have a little movie date. She agreed that sounded nice. He invited her to his place and she agreed to come along. And she said at this point she could get the vibe that things were becoming a bit more Netflix and chill / ramen and chill, but she was hoping it would be that. He was totally her type. He was kind, he was a gentleman, and she wanted him bad. But of course, in the back of her mind, she can't, you know, escape like, oh, what if he ghosts me? What if he just wants this and he ghosts me after he gets it? But she also said girls have needs too, which is true. Fast forward to the following weekend, she's getting all ready, she's getting all sopped up, making sure she feels soft and smells good. She's wearing some sexy undergarments. She brings a bottle of wine and bam, she's on her way to his place. She gets there, he seems excited to see her, he hugs her, welcomes her in, and she's all like, oh, hey. She looks over and it's not just them two, she's not alone with him. He has his little brother on the couch. So they're gonna have a little Jurassic Park family movie night instead. In the email, she admitted she was so disappointed because she was just thinking about a night with him, but she was also gushing at how absolutely adorable his little brother was. His little brother was like 6 or 7. So she pulls him over to the side like, Shin, I thought it was gonna be just the two of us, you know? He said, oh yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention my little brother was coming over too. How do you forget to mention that? And then Raya says she thinks that her disappointment was unintentionally visible in her face because he pulls her to the side and says, don't worry, we'll be alone next time. She smiles and blushes and tries to hide her giggle with her hands. So with the vague promise of peeing for their next meeting, she decides to make the most of this, watch Jurassic Park, gets to know his little brother. If anything, she sees this as like, wow, I'm meeting the family already. She orders pizza for the little brother, she gets some cookies. You know, it's so easy to impress kids and make them like you, so she's working hard to make sure the little brother likes her. And she was so surprised at how good he was at English. He was like 6 or 7 years old and he's speaking damn near fluent. She kept making a joke that his English was better than Shin's. And then his little brother said while they were watching the movie, he said, I don't even need subtitles, but my brother does. So you know, they're eating pizza, they're eating cookies, they're having fun watching these movies, and she's just like gushing over how cute he is. She's petting him on the head and rubbing him like, oh my God, you're so cute. So then he suddenly looks to Shin and says, is she your girlfriend? Raya just kind of laughs and looks at Shin like, yeah, what's this going? So then Shin laughs and says, I hope she will be soon. This is all happening fast. By the way, at this point, they've only known each other for like 3 weeks. So after he said, I hope she will be soon, the little brother nods, like, good, and then goes back to watching his movie and eating his pizza. Raya is so relatable in her email. Like, one of the things that she wanted to note is watching Shin interact with children was just made him just so much more attractive, and I totally get that. Whenever I see a cute guy, a hot guy, a sexy man, playful with kids, when kids like them, it just gives you good vibes, you know what I mean? Ultimate green flags. So Shin's little brother fell asleep. It was getting late and she's like, yeah, you know, this was fun, but I think I should head back home soon. So he walks her to the door. He kisses her and it says, let me know when you get home. She was just not expecting their first kiss to be like that. She was just like, oh my god, he kissed me. Oh, it's okay. She says she felt flames through her body. Raya did not hesitate to invite Shin to her apartment the very next day. She said this sounds thirsty. She knows, she's fully aware how thirsty she sounds, but she was thirsty. She can admit it. She's not ashamed. I don't know why. I don't know what it is, but I kind of find it like a turn on a little bit when guys are kind of oblivious to the fact that you want to sleep with them. It's nice to know that when they're spending time with you, they're not just thinking about having sex with you. They're thinking about other stuff. It kind of reminds me of when I went to Hong Kong with my ex, and while we're on the trip, you know, he's got everything scheduled out and detailed out. He's like, I gotta make sure you're not bored. We're gonna have fun. We got so much to do, so much to see. He was like, hey, I'm going to the store. Do we need anything? I was like, yeah, we need to get some. And he was just like taking the note in his phone. He's like, oh. He just started blushing. I was like, yeah, I don't see no boom boom on the schedule. We gotta pencil that in. I don't know, like I kind of get a similar vibe from Shin in this story that he wants to get to know her. I could be wrong. We'll see where the story goes. But it just reminded me of that wholesome interaction with that ex. I vlogged that trip, by the way. If you want to see it, I'll add it to a card. She invites Shin to her apartment. He agrees, and she jokes like, are we going to be babysitting anybody else again? He says, no, you only have to watch me.
What do you mean by that?
So take two, we're trying this again. She has on sexy undergarments. She's got her wine. She's trying to set the mood. Low lighting or no lighting, candle lights maybe. She puts out wine, cheese, and crackers, and she pops on Netflix. So he was supposed to be at her place at 6. He showed up at 5:15. I think the thirst is mutual. So they're drinking first, they're having some wine, trying to relax and you know, just talk about past relationships, what they're looking for in a partner. Like it got really serious, and she said, to be honest, it was kind of killing the mood because she kind of liked the playful side of him, but he was being like really serious, like, yeah, so what are you looking for in a partner? And she felt like it was a job interview. So then he gets up and sits on the couch in front of the TV and like pats on the couch to gesture for her to come and sit next to him. Raya joins, he puts his arm around her and they start watching Stranger Things. She did say that he felt a bit distant. He seemed to be like keeping his hands to himself. He had his arm around her and then kind of took it around. I was like, all right, we're watching the movie. Hands in his lap, just watching the movie. And she's just like, touch me. Raya was absolutely waiting for him to make a move. She was just sitting there like, should I initiate? Should I wait for him to do it? Just do something. I've been waiting, think I wanna make that move. This fool fell asleep. Damn! She's just sitting there alone like, why is it so hard to get some quality dick? So she's sitting there watching Stranger Things by herself. Part 2 is really good anyway, so she's engaged. And then his phone goes off and it gets a little iPhone ping. Being nosy, looks over and it's all in Korean. She says she could only make out a little bit of it and her Korean is really not that good at all. Well, your brother likes her, foreigner or not. If she's a good person, it doesn't matter. Go for it if you like her. The screen went dark before she could see the name of who sent it, and she was just kind of like, what does that mean? Like, go for it, sleep with me, or go for it, relationship with me? So she ends up like adjusting herself, and then Shin wakes up and he apologizes for falling asleep. He said he was up with his little brother the night before pretty late. She says, no worries, no problem. She gets up and asks him if he wants something to drink. He says, thank you. And while she goes to get a beverage for him, he gets on his phone and he reads the message and he smiles and kind of just nods and puts his phone down. So she's like, what was that? Suddenly Shin's more flirty, he's more assertive, and he's making a move. Like he's more like, hey baby girl, let's start this thing. He's sitting closer to her, he's stroking her leg, you know, she's just like, okay, I think something's about to happen. The tension is building. He gets into position and he finally kisses her and they start making out. Part of her is happy, but also she has a bit of an alarm going off in the back of her head, like why is he just now suddenly starting to act like this, especially after he just saw that text that I partially read on his phone. She said, but all that soon escaped her mind because he was such a good kisser. He was touching her and kissing her in all the right places, and they boom boom right there on the couch. So when they're done, she's just sitting there like, oh, I wonder if he's gonna leave. So after laying up and like cuddling on the couch a bit, he asked if it would be rude for him to take a shower. She said, no, you can shower, but I don't have like a change of clothes for you to put on. And he said, oh, did I have to put clothes on after? Fuck no! Homie just wants to be naked in her apartment. She said, well, no, I guess that's fine then. And he asked her if she wanted to join him in the shower. Y'all, they did boom boom in the shower too. She said, now pause, because this part of the story, you know, she didn't know what to expect from Asian men. She'd only been with Western men all her life, and she said that she has heard that they're más pequeño, dojaken. And that's also a question I used to get a lot from y'all. Y'all know who y'all are. If it's not you, then it's not you. But if it is you, it is you. Like, people would ask me on my DMs on Instagram, comments here, what's it like to be with an Asian man, and first of all,
You stay right there, you little nasty!
second,
Mind your damn motherfucking business, bitch!
so yeah, sorry, all that being said, Raya didn't know what to expect. She put all this in email. She was like, yeah, you know, I was always kind of curious. I didn't know what it would be like. But she said it was actually better than she thought it was going to be. So she happily joined him in the shower for seconds.
Give me more.
So after they showered together, Shin asked her if he could spend the night at her place. And she said at that point it was fine because it was like 11, almost midnight. It was pretty late, and she was like, yeah, you know, you might as well just stay if you want. But when she woke up the next morning, he was gone, and she was surprised she didn't hear like the door, because when it opens it makes like a doo-doo-doo sound, and when it closes and locks you hear it, and she's surprised she slept through all of that. Yeah, it was about 8 a.m. and he was gone. So she's like, oh, did he ghost me? What's going on? Did he get what he wanted and now he's gone? So she reaches for her phone to see if he messaged her, and he did leave a message. The text said, I'm sorry, I have to go home to change my clothes. We can meet for lunch if you'd like. She was relieved that he wasn't just done like wham bam, thank you ma'am, toot and boot. He said, let's continue this, but I feel like a bum. I need to change my clothes. He says he knows a really nice place with a good view, and then that's where they should meet to have their food. Gives her the address. He'll meet her there. So she's like, wow, oh my god, you can see like a lot of the Seoul skyline from here. Like, it's great up here. And he reaches for her hand, like he puts his hands on the table and he reaches for her hand across the table, and they're holding hands like across the table. And he got all serious again. He said, I'm sorry if I was a little cold before or if I gave mixed signals, but I needed some confirmation from my parents. Last night, that was his mom who texted him and said, your little brother likes her. It doesn't matter if she's a foreigner. If you like her, then go for it. That's what that text meant. She didn't know if it was one of his homies like, yo, bruh, go for it, get that booty. Or if it was someone who actually had his best interest in heart, was like, oh, come on, you know, if you like her, then go for it. You'll overcome the obstacles together. So yeah, because she left a good impression on the little brother, he's gushing to the parents, I suppose, like, oh yeah, she's so nice, she gave me cookies, she said I was cute, she said my English is good, she gave me pizza. So he said after receiving the blessing, he's sorry if, you know, it was so sudden the way he just changed. So he looks her dead in the eye and asks her if she wants to be his girlfriend.
Wait a minute, wait a minute. Wait, first of all, you're not gonna speed past that like you didn't just say what you just said.
Raya's stunned. She doesn't know what to say. She starts laughing. He said, is that a no? Like, I'm sorry, is this too much? She was just laughing to herself because she's like, oh my god, this morning I thought he was ghosting me after getting the cake. It's lunchtime and he's asking me to be his girlfriend. So yeah, Raya agreed to be his girlfriend, and it's been a year and they're still together. She said like she's met his family and everything, and if you guys want to know more about that, to let us know in the comments, and she'll get ready on the email and she'll send it over. The email, what am I, 90? I thought this was a really cute story. How little Netflix and chill turned into a whole ass relationship. Thanks for watching. If you did, remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Annyeong. So then Raya asks Shin, so does your dad know that you're dating anyone? Shin says yes, he does. Raya says, does he still want to meet me? Shin pauses and says, kind of.
What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean?
So then they're making small talk, and this is what Shin's little brother said. 아빠는 이제 라야가 딸이에요? Which means, Dad, is Raya your daughter now? Stop! So he looks at his son, he looks at Shin, and all he says is, what's up, idols? It's CC Lesson 3. Welcome back to my channel. So you guys have been asking, nay, demanding a part 2 to Raya and Shin's story, and she delivered via email the other day. She said, I want to thank your viewers for all the sweet messages, and I hope they find the next part just as entertaining. 감사합니다, 여러분. So we're gonna get into the second part of the story, aka what happens when Raya met Shin's family for the first time. If you have no idea who Raya and Shin are, I suggest watching this video. It gets into all the details about when they first met on Bumble, dance studios, hooking up, meeting the family. Did I say hooking up? A little Netflix and chill, and how it turned into this beautiful romance that they have going on right now.
Everything is different now that I see.
As always, please watch until the end of this video. Audience retention is key to promoting my channel across this platform. And every time you guys do deliver, I get notifications like this on YouTube Studio. It's all because of you.
And it's all because of you.
One more thing, if you like story times like this, I put together a whole playlist of story times, not only from me, but also from viewer submission. These story times are about dating and clubbing and just existing as a foreigner in Korea and Japan. For this story time, we'll pick up where we left off. So remember, the last story ended after a night of passionate lovemaking. First on the couch, then in the shower. And they woke up and went to lunch. They went to this beautiful scenic rooftop spot for lunch, and he formally asked her to be his girlfriend. After it was revealed to Raya that Shin's mom was the one who sent that text telling him to go for it if he liked her, she wanted to know what would happen if she said no and she didn't approve of it. She was already a bit worried and anxious, not only about being in an international relationship, but an interracial relationship while being in a foreign country for the first time ever. Story, Raya was naturally concerned, deeply concerned about being accepted in Korea with this Korean man. So Shin explained, you know, the whole mindset of Korean elders. And it's nothing she didn't already know, it's nothing she hadn't heard before, but she wanted to try and understand it a little bit better. He said these days elders are more and more accepting of their children's hearts. The average Korean elder does seem to support the idea of Korea opening its borders and welcoming foreigners and tourists. And also Korea is very interested in expanding their influence. We see it in K-pop, we see it in Korean dramas, we see it in Korean movies and entertainment, and appliances and tech like Samsung and LG, Hyundai, Honda, Daewoo even.
You just got killed by a Daewoo Lanos, motherfucker!
But one thing he did say that I have heard many times is every Asian, like from their country, feels like their Asian is the superior Asian. Here's what I mean. If you ask a Chinese person, they say like China is the best. They're genetically different from everybody else. They're better than everybody else. The same goes for like Korea and Japan, for example. So to Korean elder, ideally they want to keep Korea and keep Korean purely Korean. What? Every generation tends to be more liberal than the one that preceded them. So another concern that Raya had, at this point they'd only even known each other for like 3 weeks. So she's like, wow, nobody knows about you. Like, I didn't really expect this to go anywhere. I had family, my friends, my parents, no one really knows, and you're already talking to your mom about me. It's a little bit of pressure, but also it indicates to her that he's serious about her. So Shin did ultimately say that if his mom didn't approve, that it would be difficult but not impossible to proceed with Raya. He said he truly believes his parents would come around eventually and he would just wear them down over time. So Shin said he didn't want to cross that line with Raya until he knew he had his mom's approval, which is why the weekends leading up to them being a couple, he was kind of cock-blocking himself. That's somehow so wholesome. So Raya's like, okay, well now that we're an official couple, does that mean I'm gonna actually meet your parents? He's like, oh, of course, my mom would absolutely love to meet you. So Raya nervously asked him about his dad because all this time, you know, we've heard my mom said this, my mom feels like this, my mom wants to meet you. So she's like, oh yeah, Shin, so like, what about your dad? So then Shin pauses and says, let's talk about that another time later. Some BS is about to go down with his dad. So it's assumed that Raya looked uncomfortable or anxious or distressed in some way because he tried to cheer her up. He's like, but you get to see my little brother again and he's so cute, remember, right? You really like how cute my little brother is. And he laughs and she's like, yeah. She gives like a nervous laugh like, oh yeah, okay, cool. So they finish up their lunch and head to their respective homes to prepare for the upcoming work week. Raya admitted that a lot of what Shin said stuck with her mind. I was about to say brain and mind, and it became that. She couldn't really sleep comfortably. She couldn't stop thinking about it and overthinking about it and just wondering like, why is it so hard to just be accepted? And like, I like him, he likes me, that should be enough. Race mixing is so wrong, right? So she decided she wanted to go to school the next day and talk with her co-teachers and co-workers about the situation and get their take on it as other Korean nationals. Yeah. When Raya got to work the next day, she had flowers waiting for her. I'm gonna throw up. I need them to stop because this shit is way too fucking cute. It's annoying. So Shin sent her flowers with a note that said, because I like you, my family will love you. Have a good week at work and don't worry too much. One thing I really like about them is I feel like he's really good at knowing how she's feeling and what she's thinking about. Like even in the last story time about them, he seems to know what's on her mind and tries to, you know, cheer her up or fix the situation or make her feel better. That is so blah. So her fellow teachers are like, oh my god, Raya, like who sent you flowers? This is so crazy. Like you didn't tell us you had a boyfriend. She's like, yeah, I didn't until yesterday. This is all happening really fast. We met 3 weeks ago. So they asked like, oh, is he Korean? She's like, yeah, he's Korean. And then she's like, you know, this is a perfect segue because I wanted to talk with y'all about this today. She wanted to bring up foreigners and family and discrimination and things like that and just to get their take on it. And yeah, they pretty much said exactly what Shin said the day before. It's an elder thing. They want to keep Korea pure because Korea is superior. They always like, it's our parents thinking, it's the elders thinking, but we don't think that way anymore. And I think our parents are starting to see the benefit and integration and all that stuff. So it was, you know, she felt a little better that it wasn't just Shin saying this, but other people kind of verifying that point of view. I don't know what it is, but I feel like Korean teachers are the absolute sweetest people in Korea. I only worked at 2 schools, well 3 if you count last summer. but the staff is always so nice, so friendly, so welcoming, so helpful. They invite you to dinner, they invite you to events and functions, they help you adjust to your life abroad. Even my friends have all had, for the most part, very good experiences with their coworkers, and their friends are their coworkers. It's amazing. So she finished her workday, she got home, she didn't hear much from Shin, but she assumed, you know, he was just busy and he'll get back to me when he can. And the next day, he calls her and asks her if they'd like to go out that weekend for a picnic. I'm gonna throw up. They're so cute. So now fast forward to the picnic date on the weekend. Raya is picked up by Shin and his little brother. So naturally, because they're around a kid, he asks her how many kids she wants, where she wants to raise them, if she'd be open to raising them in Korea. And he just gets so serious so fast. I'm noticing a pattern with this boy. She says she doesn't want any more than 2 kids and she'll raise her kids wherever her parents are. So she's open to wherever life takes her. And naturally, Shin loved that response. He leaned in and kissed her. And mind you, they have their little brother there. So he goes, ew, and like just makes them all laugh. So Shin decided to ask his little brother what he thinks of foreigners being in Korea. I feel like he did this, you know, just to get even a younger person's perspective. He got like Shin's, what's the word? Generational perspective, her co-workers. What about a young little boy? He's only like 6 or 7, by the way. He's a child. I think deep down Shin knew his brother was gonna say some real cute shit that just made Raya feel so much better.
제가 핸드폰을 잃어버렸는데 제 핸드폰 번호가 019 감사합니다. 누나가 예뻐서 전화번호 알고 싶었어요.
So his brother says, I think it's exciting, it's good. Foreigners leave their home to come to Korea. They teach us English, I'm so thankful. We can learn from each other. I love pizza. That's not Korean, and I'm happy. Can I adopt him? If y'all watching, can I adopt him? Does he need an auntie? He's still going on about this pizza. If you remember the last story time, that pizza made him so happy. He just loved pizza. So Raya says she can't lie. That's definitely what she needed to hear. You know, just even, you know, it's her job to be an English teacher too. So like to see that some of these kids really appreciate what she does, the sacrifices that we make as teachers to leave our home and everything we know to go teach them abroad. She's able to sit back and recline, watching the sunset with Shin and his little brother and just enjoy whatever's coming. Not overthink it, just relax and enjoy the ride. So now we fast forward 6 months later. At this point, Shin and Raya have gotten so close together. They take little road trips on the weekends in their free time. They dance together still. They've taken local trips around Asia, join each other's company, planning for the future, just good, healthy relationship stuff. Speaking of planning for the future, at this point, Raya still has not met his parents yet. And there's a reason for that. We're about to get into it. Shin believes that Sonal, or Lunar New Year, would be a good time for him to finally meet the family. Shin said that his mom had been planning this and she really can't wait. So Raya wanted to ask about his past relationships, like, oh, you know, out of curiosity, have you brought other exes home to meet your parents before, or am I gonna be the first? Because TBH, deep down, she didn't want to be the first girl that Shin brought home because that's a lot of pressure. He said that he had dated many Korean girls through the years, and he did have one other foreign girlfriend, and that is the other girl that he brought home to meet his parents. So Shin got all serious again and said that it didn't go so well with his dad and the foreigner ex. She ended up leaving Korea suddenly and broke Shin's heart, and his dad did not take that well. He said that was one of the reasons he asked his mom for advice, because he didn't want to make the same mistake again. That's another reason he asked Raya, like, so where do you see, you know, us raising kids? Like, would I have to move to where you live, or would you be willing to stay here? Because he wanted to make sure these things were known before it got too serious. After the last sudden breakup with the ex-foreigner, Shin's dad said, "This was proof you should be with a Korean girl, and I hope this is a lesson you learned."
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
It jumped up a notch.
It did, didn't it?
So after hearing that, Raya does suddenly wish, oh shit, I wish I was the first girl that he brought home to meet his family, because now they're going to be comparing her to me. It was a bad experience and they're going to expect the same bad experience from me, and that's not fair. One good thing they have going for them is at this point in their relationship, they've already been together longer than Shin was with his ex, so there's a bit of a time advantage, I suppose. If they were together like 7 months now at this point, that means he brought the last girl home to meet his family before that 7-month point. Damn, bro, slow down.
Slow down. Grab the wall. Wiggle like you're trying to make your ass fall off.
So then Raya asks Shin, so does your dad know that you're dating anyone? Shin says yes, he does. Raya says, does he still want to meet me? Shin pauses and says, kind of.
What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean?
So apparently, This whole plan that his mom devised was to do like a surprise meeting. His dad was away for business trips often, and luckily he was going to be able to make it home in time for Lunar New Year. So they figured, you know, he's away, he'll be tired. When he comes home, he won't have a lot of fight in him. Raya's like, nah, abort. I don't like that plan. That sounds real dumb. I don't want him to think that this was my idea. Out of curiosity, who out there thinks this is a good idea? Yeah, I didn't think so. Shin said that his mom knows his dad best, and if the mom thinks it's a good idea, then he thinks it's a good idea, and they should just go for it and hope for the best. So then Raya asks, why doesn't your dad want to meet me? Shin says, it's not that he doesn't want to meet you, he just doesn't want to meet you.
What do you mean by that?
What? He further explained and elaborated, he doesn't want to go out of his way to meet you. If he meets you by chance, that's fine, but he's not going to go to a restaurant to meet us for dinner. He's not going to come to my house to meet us for dinner. But if you're at his house, then you meet and it happens. So Raya reluctantly, nervously, and hesitantly agrees to this weird plan. She knows how important culturally Seolnal is to Koreans and Lunar New Year is, so she wants to make sure she knows everything, prepares everything, and doesn't offend, and makes a very good impression. So the dad comes back on a Friday prior to Lunar New Year. I think this year Lunar New Year was like on a Sunday. He still had some work to finish up before the holiday officially started, and he had his days off of work. So up to now, it is worth noting, Raya has never met his mom in person, but they have talked on the phone. Like if she's with Shin and then the mom calls Shin, she'll be in the background like, hi mom, and hi, nice to meet you, how was your day? And you know, they had like casual conversation. So Raya decided to ask the mom, hey, I don't want to like overstep, but am I allowed to wear a hanbok for this? You know, I want to make a good impression to show that I am willing to make that cultural effort. The mom says, oh my god, that would be an absolute great idea. I was going to ask you if you wanted to, but I didn't want to make you uncomfortable. The mom is staying in touch with Shin and Raya, letting them know when is a good time to come over. We're fast forward to the day of the meeting. Lunar New Year usually takes course over like 3 days or so. The family doesn't come over for every day all the time necessarily. So for this day, luckily for Raya, it's just gonna be the little brother, Shin, the mom, and the dad, and her. So it's just the 5 of them. She don't gotta worry about meeting distant elders and bowing to the absolute elders of the family, the grandparents, 할머니, 할아버지. So they get to his parents' house. They're greeted happily at the door by Shin's mom. She's like, wow, oh my god, you look amazing in a hanbok, you're so cute. And the dad is sitting on the couch while, you know, the mom is greeting them. She's trying to speak English. So he's like, why is my wife trying to speak English? So he turns around and sees a foreigner under the arm of his son, and he's like, oh god, here we go again.
Oh shit, here we go again.
You know, the mom's going on like, oh, I appreciate your effort, you look so great, thank you for coming, welcome, welcome. And the little brother runs up and hugs Raya, and she's just like, oh hi. He's like, you look so pretty. And, oh, I can't deal, they're so cute.
Oh, chills, literal chills.
Now it's time to see what the dad's doing and thinking. So the dad gets up, walks to greet them at the door, and Raya gets prepared to do a deep, respectful bow, like one of those deep
안녕하십니까.
But before she can like get all the way down, he goes, 아니, 괜찮아. Like don't get down, it's fine. So they settle for like one of those mutual casual bows. So far so good, right? Shin's dad works overseas a lot, and he actually speaks really decent English. Here's the thing, Koreans oftentimes, when they're really good at English, they like to show it off. They'll just start speaking English for no reason. They'll be like, hey, they could be with their Korean friends and be like, hey, want to see something? Go to a foreigner and be like, hey, how are you? And just be casual and cool because I can speak English. It's like a flex. So Shin was kind of hoping his dad would want to speak to her in English. That did not happen. So Shin says, hi dad, this is my girlfriend Raya. So in the email, this is what Raya wrote. No lie, he says, okay, and then just walks away. So, hi dad, this is my girlfriend. Okay.
Hi.
Okay.
So she looked at Shin, she looked at Shin's mom for some sort of like signal or indication. Like translate, what does that mean? Is that good, is that bad? How are we doing so far? Shin's brother says, I'm hungry, can we eat now? So they all proceed to go and have some food. Raya's doing her best to be helpful, to be respectful, and she's looking over at Shin and he's just like giving her like, you're doing great. I love that. So then they're making small talk, and this is what Shin's little brother said. 아빠는 이제 라야가 딸이에요? Which means, Dad, is Raya your daughter now? Stop. So he looks at his son, he looks at Shin, and all he says is, okay. What the fuck? So Raya decided to ask Shin's dad, like she's speaking English. She asked Shin's dad, do you have any questions for me? Is there anything you want to know about me or my background? And Shin jumps in to translate because he's thinking, oh, you know, just in case my dad doesn't understand what my girlfriend's saying. And Shin's dad goes, I understand, you don't need to do that. I was like, oh damn, goddamn. So then his dad says, no, not really. maybe I'll have a question for you next year. So like, is that a win? Does that mean he thinks she'll stick around for a year? Does that mean he hopes she's around for a year? Does that mean this doesn't matter because you won't be here next year? Like, what does that mean?
Oh, I really wanna know, what do you mean?
What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean?
What do you guys think that means in the comments below? So yeah, their first meeting, he didn't really talk much aside from
Okay.
the first time that Raya met Shin's family. And she says since then, they've met up for dinner a few times. They've gone out to eat. So he's making an effort to get to know her. And he still jokes occasionally when he sees her, like, oh, you're still here. You're still around. Somebody tell me why this man thinks that every foreigner is plotting to abruptly leave Korea and break his son's heart. That was one girl. It happened one time. So yeah, that's the tea, and they're still going strong. I hope you guys enjoyed the story. Thank you again, Riot. Now, look, y'all don't understand. She responded so quickly. I posted the video last week on like Tuesday, and in the comments, you guys were like, oh my God, we need part 2. Please give us part 2. And she, within a few days, she got everything ready. So thank you, Raya, so much. Like, seriously. I was excited to hear the update. I hope everybody else enjoys this update. Thanks for watching. If you did, remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I will see you guys next time. Annyeong. What's up, idols? It's CC Listen 3. Welcome back to my channel, and thank you so much for clicking on this video. So today we are back finally with the first story time I've done in like a month. I'm sorry about that. But in my defense, yeah, there's been so much going on. If you would like some other NSFW story times, however, I would invite you to check out my Patreon. The stuff that would get demonetized on YouTube, Patreon is where that stuff goes. Also, I just uploaded a clubbing in Korea update video. It's kind of like a story time about my experience clubbing in 2025, and also a bit of footage from the night out. But check that out. That was a really fun video to make. So for this story time, today's star is Joy, like from Inside Out. She also says she needed a lot of joy to deal with her situation. She has the most wonderful fiance, the best soon-to-be father-in-law, but her mother-in-law is an absolute nightmare. So she did say she's been wanting to share this story for a very long time, but she's been hesitant for that very reason. She doesn't want to make even more of an enemy of her mother-in-law, soon-to-be mother-in-law. So the story is going to be about Joy, and we'll call her fiance Youngbae, because I like to give the good guys the name Youngbae. That's Taeyang's real name. So Joy moved to South Korea to be a full-time English teacher at a hagwon. First she taught in Thailand, then she taught in China, and now she's teaching in Korea, and this is her favorite so far. She prefers the weather. She thinks the language is easier to understand. She likes the language more. It's more affordable, and it's also incredibly convenient to just be here, to get around, to shop, to live, exist, all that stuff, compared to China and Thailand, in her opinion. So as one does when one decides to move to a country and settle down and get established, she wants to start dating. So she went online, and that's where she met Youngbae. Now, she did say it is a lot of trial and error. It's a lot of garbage you gotta go through, but you will find that diamond. First, it was pretty slow. Like, things with Joy and Youngbae was a pretty slow burn. Like, at first it'd be days without either one of them replying to the other. And because he was slower, she didn't feel as motivated to reply back to him. She thought this might be another one of those things that kind of just dwindles down. Eventually, they ghost.
He's a phantom.
But just when she thought things were gonna die down completely, that's when Youngbae asked her out on a date. He said he can't tell if she likes him, so he's been playing it cool. And that's exactly how she was feeling. She's like, well, I couldn't tell if you like me, so I've also been playing it cool. But he did get to that point where he decided to just go for it and ask her out, and that's why he's asking her out what seems to be so suddenly. And she happily agreed because she did like him. At first, she said she thought he was a fuckboy. Like, she told him she thought he was a fuckboy, and he was so insulted. He's like, what do you mean? She was like, well, you're handsome, you seem really popular with girls, and until now, you didn't really give much effort in talking to me. And she felt like he expected her to chase him, and that made her lose interest in him. But now that they got that all cleared up, they have a date planned. So as for the first date, she said, you know, it's pretty normal, nothing too out of the ordinary. Like, they had great conversation, had a lot in common, got along well. He treated her to a nice meal. He looked good and he smelled good, and green flags, good vibes all around. And he did tell her that speaking with her and hanging out with her reminded him of everything he missed from when he studied abroad. And he really has fun talking in English, and he wants to make sure he doesn't lose his English skills because it's a really important life skill. So at the end of the date, he escorted her home. Well, to the nearest station, because just in case he turned out to be a creep, she didn't want him to know exactly where she lived. So they spent that whole week still talking on the phone a lot, texting each other a lot of communication between the two of them. During that time, they decided to make another date for the upcoming weekend. So one of the reasons she felt bonded to him was because he says he really loves Titanic. That's like one of his favorite movies. He said it was something he used to like to watch and try to remember when he was practicing English in his younger days. And she's just like, oh my God, you're so bae, we have so much in common. So yeah, they end up going on a few successful dates, a few more successful dates. So as the weeks are rolling by, Joy decided that she kind of wanted to have young bae come over to her place, watch Titanic. A little ramen and chill. Basically, they was trying to fuck. But she wanted to make sure this wasn't just gonna be like a hookup thing because she actually liked him. And again, much to her surprise, before she could even ask him, hey, do you wanna come over to my place and watch Titanic? He asked her to be his girlfriend. You want my destiny. She was thrilled. And she asked him if he thought maybe it was too soon. He's like, well, it's not too soon for me, but I waited because I was worried you might think it's too soon for you. He said, in fact, he had wanted to ask her out weeks ago. Well, they're officially boyfriend and girlfriend, and now Joy feels like she doesn't have to worry about him just ghosting or this just being like a quick little booty call hookup situation. So when he came over, much to her surprise, they actually did watch the whole movie, and they kind of did like a practice, like, you do his part, I do her part sort of thing, just to see who knew the movie better, who knew the most lines from the movie. And she thought it was cute because he wasn't just saying, oh, I love Titanic. Like, you know how guys will be like, I love The Notebook, it's such a deep, profound film, it's more than a chick flick. Like, to try and impress girls, but he actually liked Titanic, like he knew the lines. But yeah, while they were watching Titanic, they were also drinking some wine. So once the movie was done, and the wine had flowed, Joy, I've been a nasty girl, nasty, I've been a nasty girl, nasty. And young bae, that's the best way I can put it for YouTube. I'm so sorry. I want to get demonetized. So Joy says she really enjoyed herself, and let's just say she was surprised by his ability to deliver. He was a skilled delivery man. I hope you guys catch my meaning. And she said, you know, she hadn't had it in a while, so she wasn't expecting a whole lot, but she was very happy that he was her boyfriend because she liked doing this particular activity with him. So, you know, they have a nice good night cuddle, go to sleep celebrating the fact that they are a new couple, and they just consummated the fact that they are now boyfriend and girlfriend. Unfortunately though, the next day he had to leave early for work, but he did say, let me know when you want me to come back over or when I can come back over, because like I know you have work too. So she was really happy that he wanted to come back over, and she's like, green fucking flags. So yeah, she's like, oh my God, like this is happening. I found a good guy, I found a cute guy, and he's my boyfriend. Months roll by, they're a great couple together, lots of good memories, dates in Seoul, nights inside cuddling together, no red flags, no major arguments, endless phone calls. Everything is heading in the right direction. And eventually a year went by. So naturally they get to this point where they're kind of thinking, I think we should start to get our families more involved. Because at this point, you know, he had just told his parents casually he's dating someone, he's seeing someone, and she had told her family, I met this cool guy, he seems great. But now they're like, we should try to coordinate an actual official meeting at some point. But one thing that Young Bae did that was so cute, he went in her phone like pretending he wanted to take a picture of her, and he got her parents' contact information without her knowing because he wanted to get their blessing and their approval for a very important question. More on that in a bit. So yeah, Young Bae decided, I think it's time for you to actually meet my parents. Now there's a reason he had been putting this off for a while, because I'm sure a lot of y'all are like, I mean, they've been dating for like a year now and she still hasn't met his parents. Unfortunately, there's a good reason for that. The reason he held off on this meeting for so long is he fully knows that his parents are more traditional. Ideally, they would want their only son to be with a Korean woman. And he really loved her. Like, he was enjoying the honeymoon stage. He was enjoying like just this blissful delulu, no obstacles in our relationship, everything's perfect, everything's fine. But eventually he's like, we can't delay the inevitable forever, you know? It wasn't like this was a secret. Joy knew the status of his parents, like how they would expect him to be with a Korean woman. So she was perfectly fine with not meeting them. She wasn't in a rush to meet them. But when he saw that her parents were so accepting of him, he wanted to believe that the same thing would happen with his parents when they met her. So he's like, you know what? We need to make this meeting happen ASAP. No Rocky. Deep down, he was hoping for the best. So anyway, the four of them make plans to meet for lunch. Joy and Young Bae were very, 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 very nervous, as you can imagine. But he did show his parents pictures of Joy, so it wouldn't be like a complete shock that she's not Korean. Like, they know she's a foreigner, they know exactly what she looks like. He's like, Mom, this is us. Dad, this is us. And they said she's a pretty girl, so he's like, okay, so far so good. And the fact alone that they had agreed to meet her made him think, okay, you know what, this might go better than I thought.
That is not correct.
So they met on a Sunday at a restaurant near City Hall. What's funny is Joy and Young Bae went early already. But when they got there, his parents were already there even earlier. So they're like, oh shit, because they wanted to be there first. So they all greet each other. Joy went for a hug to the parents. Mom didn't accept the hug. So instead she tried a handshake. Rejected again. We're already off to a great start. Dad though, he was very pleasant. He accepted the hug and he's smiling a lot at her. He appears to just be happy to see his son in love. Son in love! He's asking Joy questions like trying to get to know her. How do you like your life in Korea so far? What are some foods you like? Is my son treating you well? The mom is silent and just staring at her. So the three of them are having a really good conversation and then the mom is just there, existing. His dad doesn't speak great English, but he did his best to try. And wherever he fell short, Young Bae would kind of like swoop in and be like, oh, my dad says this, and then translate what Joy is saying to the dad. So it started to get to this point where the dad is like, honey, talk, like, what are you doing? Deseo? Malhe? This is our son and his girlfriend. Why are you here if you're not gonna talk? So Joy doesn't know what was said directly because the dad just took the mom away and they talked, and whatever they said, when they came back, the mom stopped just staring at Joy. Instead, she acted like she wasn't there. She was just looking in any possible direction except for in the direction of Joy. You could say there was no joy in her life. Oh, hell. So Joy tried to initiate a conversation with the mom, and the mom literally just ignored her, like she didn't just say anything at all. She even said it in Korean. Joy has a theory that his dad was overly friendly and overly accommodating to try to counter the hostility coming from the mom, just this dark aura cloud of just disapproval. So when his mom finally did decide to speak, she said something in English to the effect of, have your fun for now, it doesn't matter, this won't last anyway. He'll eventually marry one of our own. Then Young Bae went off in Korean, 엄마 그만해. 왜 그래? 여자친구예요. 사랑한다고.
아니 왜 골로 가? 왜?
Mom's not taking that though, and everything she's responding, she wants to say it in English because she wants to make sure that Young Bae can't like water it down or clean up whatever she's saying. Like, she wants Joy to hear exactly what she's saying from her chest. Not gonna let him soften the blow with his translation. So mom said, this won't work. I can't accept her. Have your fun, but there's no reason for us to meet like this since it won't last. Dad's trying to defuse the situation, and naturally they were making a scene at the restaurant now. So Joy's like, you know what? I should go. As you can imagine, this is awkward and sad. Like, if I was Joy in this situation, I would be bawling my eyes out. But Dad says she should stay, and Young Bae agrees. And he wants Joy to know that they are both on her side, not the mom's. So then the mom is asking the dad, what will you do if they marry? What will you do if they have babies? And the dad said, then I'm a grandfather with a new daughter-in-law. Oh, we like Dad, don't we? So mom is trying to talk to Joy directly for the first time, because so far she's been talking to Dad, so far she's been talking to Young Bae, but now she's finally talking to Joy. She says, he's Korean, let him be with a Korean woman. You don't speak Korean and you're not Korean. You don't know our culture, you don't know our language. It's bad, I can't accept you. Don't get pregnant, you should leave my son now. So with that, mom takes her leave. Dad apologizes, pays for the bill, and go catch up with the mom. So they leave and Joy's just sitting there like, what the fuck? What did I do wrong? And Young Bae can't apologize enough. Even though it's so not on him, it's not his fault. He tells her, you did nothing wrong, it's my mom. He said he really hoped and really believed that things would go better, but it kind of went exactly how he expected it to go. But now he sees the only reason she agreed to this lunch was so that he could tell her to her face, like, I do not accept you. 한국 사람 아니에요. So yeah, you know, Joy's not feeling great, as you can imagine. So Young Bae spent a lot of time trying to reassure her, like, listen, it's not you, it's her. I don't care what she says. One thing that really made her feel better is he's like, even my dad is on our side. And normally my dad is just like the quiet one in the room. He goes along with whatever my mom says. In this, he said, I can't go with that. I can't accept that. I don't agree. And he also tells her that his mom has always been difficult, even when he brought home Korean girls. Like, whenever he told his mom about a normal Korean girl that he was dating or about to date or talking to, she was never good enough for him. And now she's making it a race thing. So he's like, babe, it is so not you, it is absolutely her. Even if you were Korean, she would not like you. But anyway, she actually left this feeling way better about the situation. She's like, listen, I have dad's blessing and mom's crazy. I can live with that. So for the most part, they move on. Back to spending their time together and being in love. Another 8 months goes by, And Youngbae has a question that he finally wants to ask Joy. So they take a vacation to the Philippines because 1, they want to go somewhere warm, and 2, Joy has always wanted to go to the Philippines. So they enjoy the beach, they go on some excursions, they enjoy the food, a romantic hotel. So on the last night of the trip, they had dinner, and after the dinner, they decided to take a nice walk on the beach. So they're walking along the beach, you know, it's just an unassuming walk, enjoying a nice warm breeze on the beach before they have to fly back to Seoul the next afternoon. And as she's walking on the beach, she sees like lights, like dim lighting, but it's low, right? So when she gets closer, she sees some candles, some fairy lights, rocks and flowers, and written in the sand, it says, "Will you marry me?"
보랏빛으로 물든 하늘 쓸쓸한 바람에 더욱 시려오는 밤.
That's so cute. That's so cute. Because this was the last night of their trip, she was absolutely not expecting anything remotely like that. So naturally, she couldn't wait to video call her parents and tell them what happened. But what's cute is they already knew it was gonna happen. Yet when he got her parents' contact information without her knowing, he was already talking with them here and there. And eventually he worked up the courage to ask them, like, can I ask your daughter to marry me? Is it okay? Will you approve? Do you accept?
I said, will you marry me?
Marry me. Marry me.
And what's cute is even the mom helped pick out a ring. She's like, I know what my daughter likes. She'll like this one. So Joy's like, oh my God, how long did you guys know about this? And they're like, it's been about 3 months in the making. So then Youngbae decided to call his dad and let him know. She said yes. Woohoo, we're engaged. So then the dad asked if he could speak with Joy, and they speak on the phone. He's like, congratulations, we love you, we're so happy. And she found it funny that he said we, because she knows it wasn't a we, it was just a you. She knows good and well that the mom does not like her. But he also says, don't worry, eventually she'll come around. So then Youngbae decides, speaking of mom, like, can we tell her? So the dad's like, I don't think we should tell her. I think we should not yet. But you're about to find out why that bad idea, that backfired. So they end their vacation, lovely vacation, and successful engagement. So let's jump ahead another few months. Dad wants to meet up with Joy and Youngbae, and this wasn't out of the ordinary at all, because since the proposal especially, Dad's been hanging out with them a lot, they talk a lot, like he's very involved. So yeah, let's meet up again for some food. But this time, Dad suggested they do it at their house and invite mom and finally tell her, yeah, she's gonna be our daughter-in-law. And the reason Joy didn't want to do this is because since that first disastrous lunch, every now and then, Youngbae's mom will call and ask if she was still around, Like, oh, call me when you finally broke up and come to your senses type shit. But alas, we move, and Joy just had to go along with it. She's like, fine, whatever y'all think is best, I'll just go along with it. So Dad lets them know, like he greets them at the door and lets them know, mom's in a good mood, she's been drinking. And it's like, bro, why would you let this woman drink at such a vital, pivotal moment right now? Like, she's about to find out that her son's engaged and you think it's a good idea for her to be drinking? Spoiler alert, it's not a good idea. So when they first get to the house, mom greets them both. This is the first time ever that the mom has like acknowledged Joy and like actually touched her in any meaningful way. But then she acted like she didn't know who Joy was, citing, oh, I'm sorry, you all look same.
What? Oh! Is this nigga serious?
So yeah, she's like, oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were another one of my son's friends. She knew it was Joy. She knew exactly who the fuck it was. Dad's like, babe, you said you were gonna behave. What are you doing? But as soon as mom clocks the ring, she loses it. She's like, what is this? Are you trying to give me a heart attack? Think of my health. I'll die if you marry her. And everyone is kind of over her at this point. She's like, when did this happen? And the dad said, it's been a few months. And she's like, you knew about this too? So yeah, you can see that the wine clearly made her worse. She's a lot more dramatic. She's like every K-drama mom ever when they disapprove of their child's decisions and actions, and making it all about her somehow. So Youngbae says that they are engaged and they're getting married as soon as he finishes school. He said he's not asking for her approval. He's just telling her how it is. He's like, you're the only one that's not happy for us. I'm your son. My happiness should be all that matters. Dad agrees, but Joy stays quiet. She's like, I'm gonna let y'all have this discussion. One thing she did say though is watching the mom react like this and behave like this, it made her really not care about her approval because she was being so dramatic and she found it really hard to take her seriously. So she's like, if the mom comes around to accepting me, great. If not, I don't care. And she would just look down at her ring as like, you know, a reminder that he loves you and he chose you. One thing that's sad though is they didn't even make it to the dining room table. Like they did not have dinner. It got to a certain point where Youngbae said, you know what, we're gonna leave. And then the mom suddenly is like, no, you need to stay. And he said, Mom, we're not coming back until you accept her.
And my man, thank you to my man.
So Dad sees them out and he thanks them for trying. We knew it was a stretch, but you can't blame them for trying. So this was actually a few weeks ago. This is a really recent story. And they are planning their wedding for the springtime, whether the mom likes it or not. And she's hoping that her parents will be able to fly out. She knows that most of her family won't make it, but she's really hoping that her parents can make it because so far they still haven't even met Youngbae. And so far, with the exception of Youngbae's mom, everyone is happy for them. So yeah, Joy, oh my God, thank you so much for this story. I was a little worried, I'm not gonna lie, because like the header in the email had me thinking this was gonna be like a really sad, upsetting, depressing kind of story, but I think it was funny. And I think overall it's really positive, so thank you so much. Congratulations on the wedding. You know, I'm here to spring. Can I come to your wedding? If you like story times like this, be sure to check out the playlist. It's about to pop up on the end screen. Stay tuned for more story times. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Annyeong! What's up, idols? It's Cece Listen 3. Welcome back to my channel, and thank you so much for clicking on this video. Y'all see that? Y'all see that little nugget back there? If you want to see more about that unboxing, you can watch the vlog that I just uploaded a few days ago, but we are back today with a story time. The headline in this email told me everything I needed to know, and this was a story I definitely have to share with y'all. So leave a comment that says for the tea, for the algo, for the watch.
For the watch. For the watch. For the watch. For the watch.
For the watch.
Please like, comment, share, and subscribe if this is the type of content that you like. I've been experimenting with more uploads lately, and I think that's gonna be the new norm. So turn on your notifications so you don't miss when I upload a new video, please. So before we jump right into the story, there is a little bit of an intro that she wanted me to read so y'all know what we're about to get into. I swear I lived a reverse K-drama. No kimchi slapping, no drink throwing, no evil in-laws here. I'm happy to share my story, especially if it can boost feel-goods. Call me Tiana if you choose to share my story, and thanks so much for the watch, girl. So we have a happy story with the in-laws and a crazy romance story, so let's get right into it. So for this video, she's gonna be Tiana, Princess Tiana. And it might seem repetitive, but we have yet another English teacher. I'm just saying, like, I can't emphasize enough.
We out here.
English teachers are really common in South Korea. And Tiana loves her job, but it does take up a lot of her free time. I worked at a public school, so I was pretty lucky. I didn't have like these crazy hagwon hours that'll be like 2 to 10 p.m. or 9 to 7 p.m. I only worked from about 8 to 2 or 3. And it wasn't even every day that I worked. So because she works at a hagwon, her work hours are pretty crazy. And even though she's been teaching for about 2 years at this point, she doesn't have a lot of friends in South Korea yet. Most of her friends work with her at the school, and they're also fellow English teachers. Most of her friends work with her at the hagwon that she's at, and they're also fellow English teachers. Some are her age, but her best friend is a bit older. She's actually really close to one of the older teachers, and she calls her auntie. She took her under her wing. She helps her with translation, banking issues, even ordering food for her. They cook together and they hang out a lot. She's definitely the person that she hung out with the most. She said, I can't explain it either, but hey, it worked. She was my homie. So when she wasn't at school dealing with these crazy hagwon hours, she was home a lot preparing materials, grading assignments. You also have to communicate a lot with the parents of these students and like update them on your child's progress. And I remember Bria, Tanya, and Aaron, they used to have to do these things called like teacher's notes or something. It would be Friday night. I'm sitting there, I worked at a public school, so when I clock out, I'm done. I'm sitting there like, yo, it's getting late. Are we going out or not? And they're like, I just gotta finish these teacher notes. Little Susie's mom is getting on my nerves. So that makes sense. By the way, for the sake of the story, we're gonna call the auntie Imo, which is auntie. But it's like, it's different. It's Imo and Como, depending on if it's the dad's sister or the mom's sister. We're just gonna call her Imo.
I walk this empty street on the boulevard of broken dreams.
Not that one. So Imo would often call Tiana at home just to check in on her, see how she's doing, see what she's doing. And when she would call Tiana, she would always be surprised and a little disappointed that she was home and she wasn't out having fun and being young. She's like, why don't you go out and go on dates? Like, you're a beautiful young girl. Like, go out and have fun and enjoy the world. Tiana's like, I don't have the time for that. Also, guys here don't show interest in me. Imo heard that. She's like, what? They don't show interest in you? What do you mean? She's like, that's impossible. Where are you looking for men? And Tiana shamelessly said Tinder. And Imo laughed because yes, even Imo, auntie, knows the woes of Tinder. So Emo, talking to Tiana, said, if you want to meet someone sincerely and honestly, you got to do it the old-fashioned way. So she asked, how does she do that as a foreigner in Korea where her Korean's not that good? She doesn't know who speaks English. She doesn't know who's interested in her. She said it's a lot harder because she doesn't fit the beauty standards that she sees all around her every day. And I've made many videos about that. I am there with you, Tiana. I totally get it. So then Emo's like, what do you mean? What beauty standards? I'm like, girl. So Tiana's like, these tiny faces, these big doughy eyes, pale skin, skinny as fuck, long dark hair, dainty feminine features like that of a child. So Emo tells her, you're so beautiful, you shouldn't assume these guys aren't interested in you. Just because you look different doesn't mean you're not beautiful here too. And she even told her different is very refreshing. And of course Tiana really appreciates hearing that, but it is already hard, full stop, to put yourself out there and be vulnerable when you're trying to find out if you're someone's type or date. But it's even more difficult if you can't communicate and you don't fit the norms of what beauty is. You don't fit the ideas of what they've been raised to believe is beautiful. And she says swiping kind of eliminated that element of difficulty, because if they swipe on her, there's some degree of interest in there, right? When in all actuality, this is how men swipe on Tinder. So out of nowhere, after a long pause, Emo tells Tiana, you should date my son. And Tiana laughed at first, of course, thinking that was a joke. And then Emo's like, what's funny? 웃지 마고 진짜로. Tiana's like, wait, what? She's like, my son is such a good boy. He speaks great English, I made sure of that. He's a little younger than you, but he does like a Nuna. But then she said he may not be that handsome, but he's very smart and kind. Yeah, you know, even if you don't tell that to people, like, that's not how you sell your son. I just found that so funny because I know how in the West, like, you know, there's a saying that a face only your mother could love, because your mom is supposed to love you and find you attractive and pretty and cute and handsome no matter what. But here in Asia, they will say, like, he's not that handsome, but he's really nice, or he's not that handsome, but he studies well. So I'm sorry, I thought that was hilarious. But yeah, this is awkward, right? Put yourself in Tiana's shoes. You know, you're at home minding your business, getting some work done, relaxing, and then your homegirl calls you, picking your mind about your love life and your personal life, and then out of nowhere tells you, you should date my son. First of all, what do you say to that? What would y'all say to that? Let me know in the comments. Like, would you be like, yeah, cool, or would you be like, I'm not interested, I just want to be single? Like, what do you even say to that? Because you don't want to hurt her feelings. But also you might be interested in going on a date. So what do you do? What do you say to that? So naturally, Tiana has some questions. 1, she wants to know more about him. 2, she wants to know why Emo thinks this would be a good idea. 3, if he's so good, why is he single? And Emo says, my son is like you. He's more into his work than dating and a love life. He stays home all the time. And she says, I see what a good woman you are, and I think you would be good for my son. She said, I'd be so happy if you two met and you hit it off. Meet him once, what's the harm? So Tiana has her own do it for the plot moment, and she agrees to go on a date with her son. This is normally not like her. She had never been on any sort of blind date or arranged meeting like this at all. But hey, worst case scenario, now it's an experience she can cross off of, yeah, I did that before. Plus she trusts Emo, and if Emo thinks this will be good, it at least won't be bad. So they ended the phone call, and now Tiana's like, what did I just get myself into? She wondered what he looked like, but she thought it might be rude to ask what her, like, can I see a picture of your son? Especially after she already agreed to this, because now if she cancels, then she looks shallow, because like, oh, you didn't think he was handsome, huh? So she decided, you know, let me just let this be a genuine, authentic blind date experience. I'm going in this literally not knowing what he looks like. So over the course of the next few days, they go back to work as usual, and every time Tiana and Emo see each other, Emo's like, so are you excited to meet my son? Do you know what you're gonna wear yet? Do you know what you guys want to do? He's so excited to meet you too. I showed him your picture and he thinks you're so pretty. So then that kind of makes Tiana wonder, like, oh yeah, what does he think about this? Like, what if she's pressuring him to go on this, kind of how I feel a little pressure to go into this? I don't want him to meet me just to appease his mom. What if he doesn't actually want to meet me? Anyway, we will jump ahead to this date. They're just meeting for lunch, by the way. Because Tiana couldn't decide what she wanted to do, Emo decided to arrange it for them. She's very invested and hands-on, if you can't tell. So Tiana arrived about 10 minutes early, and coincidentally, she sees a young man over there waiting by himself, also about 10 minutes early. She's wondering if this is the boy or not, because remember, she doesn't know what he looks like. So she figured for now, she could just look for someone that kind of looked like Emo. And she doesn't have to wonder for long, because this man walked over to her and approached her. He says, Tiana? Hi, I'm Emo's son. You can call me Hyunbae. Hyunbae's not his real name. I'm giving him that name. First off, he was not handsome. She thought he was pretty cute. From the way Emo described her son, Tiana had really low expectations, like, I'm about to date a foot. if even your own mom can't call you handsome, like come on, you can't blame her for assuming the worst. But he was really cute, and goddamn if he did not look like Emo. He looked just like her. And at first that was a little weird for her, because like she's besties with Emo, and now she's dating this boy who looks just like Emo. But also in a weird way, it made her feel more comfortable and familiar because she was so close with his mom. She felt like it would be easy to get close with him, or at least comfortable with him. She felt a little conscious about being like overdressed because he just showed up in a sweater and jeans. So they shake hands and they head inside to have a seat. It's a bit awkward at first. They kind of sit there looking at the menu, looking around. And then Tiana decides to just burst out an apology. She's like, I'm sorry, I know this is probably weird for you. Your mom was probably a bit forceful in getting you to come meet me. Like, she probably insisted a lot, right? You probably felt obligated to meet me as a dutiful son, and I'm so sorry. Like, she just kept apologizing to him. He's like, no, don't worry. I saw your picture and I really wanted to meet you. You're really pretty.
You're like really pretty. Thank you.
My mom says a lot of nice things about you and you look way better in person. So then Tiana's like, stop, you think I'm cute? So then he asked what his mom said about him. She's like, well, you know, I hear you're very well into your studies. You're like me, you don't get out much, and you're very kind. So Hyunbei smiled when he heard that. He's like, huh, yeah, that does sound like my mom. She tells me I shouldn't spend so much time alone. I should go out and socialize. I should go on dates. So then with that, Tiana's like, oh, what was your last relationship? What was that like? He said it was actually in uni, but they ended up breaking up because he was too busy with work. And now that he's more established in his field, he does have a little bit more free time because he's more stable. Nothing bad or dramatic, just lack of time. As he's explaining this, Tiana's like, wow, your mom didn't exaggerate. You're like really good at English. He said, you know my mom, you get why. And they had a really nice, easy flowing chat. They talked about work, travel, dating types, past relationships, current goals. It was pretty clear he liked her and she was definitely more interested in getting to know him too. So with that, they did finish their lunch and they decided, okay, we definitely got to see each other again. But first, Hyunbei had a really funny idea. All throughout the date, his mom was texting him and texting Tiana like, what's going on? Did you guys meet yet? How's the food? Is everything okay? But because they're more focused on getting to know each other, they didn't respond to the text. So Hyunbei said, how about we leave and pretend the date went badly? Let's tell my mom it did not go well. Tiana was down for that. So the first thing Tiana said was, I'm on my way back home. After all that, all the how's it going? How's the food? Did you meet him? Is he handsome? Is he the son that I raised? All she says is, the date's over. I'm going home now. So then Emo replies, what's wrong? Did it not go well? By the way, keep in mind that Tiana and Hyunbei are together texting like, this is gonna be so funny. It's not, they're still together. She didn't actually go home yet. So before Tiana can even respond to that, Emo calls Hyunbei. So then Hyunbei answers the phone like 여보세요? Nah, it didn't go well. It was awkward. He said they didn't really talk well. There wasn't really that spark or chemistry. And Hyunbei put the phone on speaker so Tiana could hear her reaction. Emo sounded so upset. She's like, how did you mess this up? I set everything up for you. What did you say? What did you do? What did you wear? Was she too quiet? I told her she needs to put in the effort. Don't worry, I'll talk to her. You guys can try again. This was just a first awkward date. Don't give up. And while this is going on, Tiana and Hyunbei are kind of like kikiing and trying to hold their laughter in. But finally, they couldn't hide it anymore and they just exploded in laughter. So Emo's on the phone confused like, like what's going on?
아니 왜 골로 가?
So they're laughing and Tiana's like, I'm still here, I'm so sorry. It was just a little prank. And Hyunbei said, yeah, the date went well. I'm sorry, I just thought this would be funny.
Bitch, you guessed it. You was right.
Emo wasn't mad. She was like, I knew it. I knew y'all would hit it off. Y'all almost had me for a minute there. So she's asking for all the details and they were happy to report that they had plans to see each other the upcoming weekend. An indoor batting cage, a museum, and a movie. And she's like, I knew it. A mother knows. I knew this was gonna be great. And even though they just told her they have plans to see each other on another date the upcoming weekend, Emo jumps the gun and she's like, hey Tiana, how about you join us for dinner tomorrow? So she did go to their house for dinner. And as you can see, things are going really well. I mean, she was close with the mom first. The mom suggested she meet the son. She likes the son, so she's being embraced by the family already. So they agree to go on a few more days, and after about a month or so, they decided to become an official, actual couple. Now here's where things get interesting and even better. As the weeks and months roll by, Tiana was basically part of the family. Chuseok, New Year's, or Solnar, New Year's, family picnics, many dinners and lunches. Tiana and Emo were even closer and they would eat lunch together at work almost every day. Now let's jump ahead 1 year. Tiana gets a call from Emo inviting her on a family trip to Jeju. And it was pretty normal to be invited on family outings and trips, especially around Korea. They take like a weekend trip to Gangwon-do, they go to Gangneung. She even got to go to Ulleung-do. I've been trying for years to go to Ulleung-do. So she's like, oh my god, I've never gone to Jeju. I would be so excited. Thank you for inviting me. Emo says it's a last minute thing. They just decided to put a trip together. She's like, oh, okay. Yeah, count me in. So they're gonna be at a resort in Seogwipo. Seogwipo is like the southern half of Jeju Island. They can enjoy the pool, the beach, some yummy seafood. It was gonna be Hyunbae, his parents, and his cousin, plus Tiana. So 5 of them. So after she got off the phone with Emo, she calls Hyunbae like, damn babe, like I didn't know we were going to Jeju. You didn't tell me. He's like, I didn't, I just found out too. But there's more to this trip than y'all think. She's also excited to meet this cousin because she's a family member that Tiana hasn't met yet. So now we jump to Seogwipo. They're on their trip in Jeju. The resorts there are nice. I remember summer 2022 when I was there with Kate and Bria. We got to go to one of the pools at the resort because Bria and Kate knew one of the guys who was like a, what do they call it? Like a residency? They had a residency there. So we were able to go in, they scanned us in, we got to enjoy the pool, live music. Here's a clip. Yeah, that was nice. So to get to the rooms, they get all checked in, and Tiana was surprised that she had a room all to herself. Naturally, she assumed she'd be sharing with her boyfriend. He said, it's probably more respectful to my mom that we're not in the same room on this family trip, which, fair. So far, she loves Seogwipo, the smell of the ocean, the beautiful imported palm trees, and the beach life. You know, the crazy hustle and bustle of Seoul finally can take it back and enjoy some nature, the beach, the waves, the ocean. Yeah. So on this trip, one cool thing is she got to spend more time with Hyunbae's dad because she didn't really talk to him all that much. He was nice enough and pleasant enough, he just didn't really have much to say. He was pretty quiet. But suddenly on this trip, he's definitely more engaging with her and asking her questions and talking with her, and she's like, oh, it's nice to meet you. Like, I feel like I'm finally meeting you. Unfortunately, this trip was only for about 4 days. So she woke up on the 3rd morning to a text from Emo saying, come down and meet us for breakfast. She was starving and said, yes, be right down. So when she goes down, she was kind of surprised that she only saw Emo and Hyunbae's cousin. We'll call her Hyuna. She asked where the men were, meaning Hyunbae and his dad. Apparently they were away on a fishing trip because they're leaving the next day. This was like a nice final time for the men to bond just one-on-one. Emo excitedly said, we're gonna have a girls' day instead. So after breakfast, they went to get their nails and feet done. And after that, Hyuna and Tiana went to get some dresses because they wanted to dress up to go to a fancy dinner before they had to go back to Seoul. Throughout the day, she got texts from Hyunbae. He's saying how much he missed her, how he hopes his mom and his cousin are behaving. She's like, I miss you too. Please tell me you're joining us for dinner. He's like, no, of course, I'll be there for dinner. I really want to wrap up this fishing trip. My dad doesn't want to stop fishing. So when Tiana finally gets back to the resort after a busy day out with the girls, Emo tells Tiana to get ready, wear one of the dresses she got today because they're gonna go out for a very fancy dinner. She's like, okay, I gotta hurry, I will go get ready. And one sweet thing is Hyuna, the cousin, actually bought Tiana this dress. And she's really excited for her man to see her in this dress that the cousin bought for her. So she does her hair, her makeup, gets all pretty, heads on down. She doesn't see anybody. She's like, where's Emo? Where's Hyunbae? Where's Hyuna? Where's his dad? Am I late? She got handed a note from staff. She read it really confused, and it was from Emo. It told her to go out front to where the valet was parked and get into the black sedan. No specifics on which black sedan. She tried to call and text Emo but didn't get a response. She's like, shit, did I take that long? Did they already leave? Okay, they're waiting for me. She's also wondering why she didn't just call or text her. Like, that's so much simpler and modern. So she does as instructed. She goes outside, looks for a black sedan. Luckily, there was only one. She gets in it and heads to the restaurant. And on the way over, she's trying to call Hyunbae, like, did I miss you guys? Like, are y'all already there? I'm so sorry, I'm on my way now. But he didn't even answer his phone.
That's odd.
So then she calls the cousin Hyuna. And Hyuna finally tells her, yeah, we're already here. Sorry, we don't want to rush you, but we had to honor the reservation. So they're like, she's like, oh my god, like they really were waiting on me. So she finally gets to this restaurant and it was nice. She said it was on a cliff overlooking the ocean. The sun had just set, so it was like this beautiful twilighty evening approaching. And when she goes to where the hostess is to ask them, I am looking for Emo or Hyunbae or Hyuna, somebody, they hand her another note. It just tells her to walk outside to the table on the patio. So she finally goes over there and she only sees Hyunbae. Also, all the guests in the restaurant are inside eating and they're the only ones outside eating. So she's laughing, walking over to him like, dude, is your mom pranking us? Is she finally getting back at us for what we did to her a year ago? And he laughs and is like, well, she did help me with this today. She's like, helped you with what? He's like, I needed my mom and my cousin to keep you busy while I prepared this. She's like, prepared? Prepared what? So he holds her hand and tells her how much she means to him and how much he loves her. How beautiful she looks, how lucky he feels to have her. And she's like, oh babe, that's so sweet, but you're kind of scaring me a little bit. Then he gets down on one knee and Tiana loses it. She's freaking out in total shock. As you can imagine, he says, I love you and I never expected to find someone to have these feelings for. I want to spend every day I have left with you. Will you marry me? What's that Michael Jordan meme with the tears? So she cried. She's crying now. And she took a while to answer, which made Hyunbae nervous. And then she realized, oh my god, I need to answer him. Yes, yes, a million times, yes. And they celebrate. And finally, when they have their celebratory moment, that's when Hyuna comes out. That's when Emo comes out. That's when the dad comes out. I never named the dad in this story, huh? So they congratulate each other, welcome her to the family, and they all eat this dinner on this beautiful cliff overlooking the ocean at sunset, or nearly after sunset. Of course, Emo's taking all the credit, patting herself on the back like a mother knows. I knew this will happen. So this trip was like the perfect camouflage for this special plan, like this proposal to help catch her off guard, because she did not see this coming. She thought it was just another family trip they were inviting her to. She's like, you're gonna be my daughter, I always wanted a daughter. So this proposal just happened last September. As of sending this email, they're still planning their wedding. And just think about this. She went from throwing herself into her work, thinking that nobody in this country was interested in her, to being engaged. That's amazing. She spent most of her time alone, and now she has a brand new family in Korea. Let me not do this. Like, let me not. Tiana, girl, congratulations. And thank you so much for sharing this story, because I get a lot of comments from people telling me I'm too negative, and I only share negative shit on my channel. I share what comes to me. And even the stories that do lean negative have a positive twist and spin on them. Like, a lesson can always be learned. If you want to see more story times like this, please check out the playlist. It's about to pop up on the end screen. Binge the rest of them on my channel. There's so many. We have over 100 story times now. Not only my stories, but also sent in from viewers. Thank you, Tiana. Congratulations. Please invite me to the wedding. Thanks for watching. If you did, remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I will see you guys next time. Annyeong.